if we're going to change the game and grow the game, you have to start from a point of truth. Because otherwise we're all just bullshitting ourselves.
Why does a place with so much potential just not get it done?
In the UK, like, we're much more crabs in a bucket mentality, hating, pulling people down, don't want to see others succeed. We might never see a British women's team as strong as that.
What's your thoughts on like the level and standard of the amount of media going into British basketball right now?
We almost have like very good content, but actually the level of basketball is really not great. SPB getting 700,000 followers on TikTok, and I'm like, fuck, like, they've been here like 4 years. I've been doing this 15 years. Where am I going wrong? And I want to grow the game. I want to have a positive impact on the game. I want to make the game better for the next generation than it was for me. My name is Sam Nita from Hoopsfix, and you are watching For the Culture.
Hello everybody, welcome back to For the Culture. I'm your host, Honcho Stan. Today on the 4th episode of For the Culture, we have a very special guest with us. This person is one of the most dedicated people to helping grow the game here in the UK. Leading renovations of courts all across the country, an established and respected figure in our basketball culture, creator of annual staples in our game like the Hoopsfix Pro-Am, the Hoopsfix All-Star Classic, and many more to come. A mentor to many, an inspiration to all, a trailblazer of British basketball media and content, founder and CEO of Hoopsfix as well as Cut the Net. Ladies and gentlemen, my proud pleasure to introduce Sam Nita.
Thank you. I think we should end the pod there. I'll walk out and take that one. I appreciate it. Some very kind words. Thank you.
I think it's all true. Many people talk about goats. You're sitting in front of 3 goats behind you right now in that photo, bro. So it's only right that you're in the seat. Would you consider yourself a goat?
Nah, man. I think... Do you know what? It's actually a bugbear that you see on any post that anyone does. People comment the goat emoji when it's like... it's lost its meaning because the whole point of the goat is it is the greatest of all time. There can only be one. But no, I don't consider myself the goat. Obviously, I'm trying to do what I can do to help the game and grow the game, but there's plenty of other people that are doing the same. There are loads of other people that are trying to make the game grow, and obviously I'm just trying to do what I can do to play my small part in it.
I mean, you say play your small part in it, but from my experience, right, and I'm going to speak from my experience personally, there may be people listening that might not agree, and if they don't, that's okay. Please let us know who you think your goats are. But from my perspective, and my view of British basketball culture, I don't think anyone has done as much for the game on so many different levels compared to what you've done. And again, I'm not here to rub your fruits. I'm here to, I want to give you your flowers, but also I want people to understand that listen to this pod, why, and as we go across the next hour, learn who you are, why you do what you do. Some people actually understand why you are the GOAT. And I'm going to keep saying it even if you don't believe it anyway.
Oh, well, I appreciate that.
Hoopsfix is obviously one thing that we can speak about, but there's so many things you do behind the scenes. I think it's good to start off with figuring out who you are. So tell me, where were you born? Where are you from?
Yeah.
Where did your basketball journey start?
Yeah, so I grew up in Eastbourne, on the southeast coast near Brighton. Small little coastal town. The basketball opportunities are not very forthcoming, or they weren't when I was growing up. Actually, now one of my childhood friends, Ian Berry, has set up a club, Eastbourne Neptunes, which is in the National League, and it's doing awesome stuff. So I got to shout that out. But yeah, grew up in Eastbourne. I wasn't really into any sports. Basketball was the only sport that I guess I had a sort of just a natural affinity and ability for. And I say that like it sounds like I was actually good. Looking back now, I look back and I was not good. But at the time,
we're gonna talk about that.
At the time, I could shoot properly and I had proper form and all that kind of stuff. Where it was something that obviously a lot of people struggle with when they're first playing. And yeah, I had a friend that was really into basketball. We would all play together at break times at school. And then there was a big group of us and only one ball. And just one day he said, "Why don't you go and buy your own ball?" He was just getting frustrated that,
that was the ball guy.
Yeah, exactly. And I just
if he didn't come, no one played.
Yeah, well, exactly. And it was like, why don't I go and why don't I go and buy my own ball? So I went to Sport and Soccer. I bought a Charlotte Hornets Spalding rubber basketball,
Oh goodness.
and that was the beginning of it. Like, I mean,
Charlotte Hornets. Were they still Hornets at that time?
yeah, that was
Wow. That was
so
before
this was before,
Bobcats.
yeah. This is way back. Yeah. So this is what they were originally, and and like Charlotte Hornets kind of became my team. Like, I obviously didn't have any clue, but they at that time they had a really distinct court design, which I loved, and so they became my team, and yeah, we're just playing all the time. And I think like when it really changed was when I got a basketball hoop in my back garden. Me and my dad spent some time putting up a hoop, cementing over this area, so I had a little playing area, and that was it. Like, I had a security light installed so that when it was dark I could carry on playing, and every day before school, after school, it was all I did. And I mean, at that time I really thought I was going to the NBA. Like really. Like,
was your family like a basketball family?
No,
was it a part of your...
no, not. There was no. I had no family ties to basketball. Yeah, so it's really weird that it ended up being obviously such a huge part of my life. But yeah, I just I would say I'm pretty motivated and driven. At that time,
what were you like in school? Like academic? Did you do well?
I was like,
wise?
I would say I worked hard. I wasn't like supernaturally intelligent. Like I was like on average sort of B student. Like, got a couple A's, but really it was B's, couple C's, whatever.
Do you feel like you enjoyed learning? Was school like a vibe? Did you enjoy going to
Nah,
school?
there was a period of school I hated. Like, I remember when I was like year 9, so like 14ish, like having legit conversation with my dad saying I want to drop out. Like, I don't want to go to school.
Me, Chief.
Yeah, I just said I just don't want to be it. I hate it. And he was always like, well, if he was open to exploring that, but it was like, you've got to have something to go to. It's like, you're not just going to drop out just to do nothing. And I didn't have anything to go to, and obviously ended up staying. But yeah, like wasn't a massive fan. I think it got easier as I got older, and I think also when I found basketball. So it was around that age that I found basketball, and that became like, in when you're at school, there's all the social circles. You've got like the cool kids and the sort of medium ones, and the sort of the sad, like unpopular ones. And I was kind of always like in the medium rung. Like, I had sort of friends in both groups. And then when I started playing basketball, and I kind of like got to a place where I was, the best player in the school, one of the best players in the school. I always remember started to get accepted by the cool ones. It was like it sort of it elevated my social standing within the school.
I can completely relate to that as well, man.
And I think that made me fall in love with it even more, because it's like, it's giving me some sort of status.
It's giving you an identity almost.
100%. So I used to get up before school, 6 o'clock in the morning, go running on the downs in the dark. Like, just like get fit. I bought like this strength and conditioning book by the New York Knicks strength and conditioning coach. I used to follow the program, the body weight training exercises in that. Like, eventually joined the gym. Like, was just fully like, I am doing everything I can.
I'm making it to the league.
Like, I am making it. I've got an essay that I wrote in year 11 in English. And it was about how I'm going to make the NBA, and like, the final sentence was something like, you're going to see me on TV one day. I'll be in the league. Like, it's going to happen. And obviously now I look back, and I was so deluded, so deluded. Like, and obviously I had people telling me, you should think about other options. You're
like, nah, bro, I love this game.
Yeah, I was like, nah. Like, why would I have an option B? Because then it'll make me go less hard for option A. Like, this is what I want to do. This is all I'm going to do.
So even though you didn't, you ain't gonna make the league now.
No.
But it's mad, because I think that same mentality you had when you were a kid, you've now applied. Even though your hoop dreams aren't what you thought they might be when you're younger, I think it's fair to say, like, you've been able to transition that passion, that drive, that dedication into now trying to grow the game here. But that's way further. I think there's a huge middle part between school and then now. After school, Eastbourne, where was the next step after that?
So after school, went to college 2 years. At that point, you needed a social studies to be academically eligible for college in the States. Yeah, so I went to college in England for the 2 years, and I got my geography A level. Because I was at this point, I was still like, I'm getting a scholarship to the States. Like, I'm not going to be in England. You know,
What position did you play, by the way?
I was point guard.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You know, like I'm left-handed, and I couldn't even do a right-handed layup. Do you know what I mean? I thought I was going to the NBA. Like that's how deluded I was.
That's right. Ryan got like 4 career points with his, with his
I
right
saw that
hand.
clip. I saw that clip. And then, yeah, obviously couldn't get a scholarship. There was a website which actually still exists. I looked into it like last year called College Prospects of America UK, cpoauk.com or something like that. And I sent them letter, emailed them, and they'd kind of just said, you know, like clearly you're an alright basketball player, but realistically it's just not going to happen. So I went to university. I hadn't given up at this point. I was still like, I'm still going to the NBA.
Yeah.
Went to university.
To Brunel, right?
Went to Brunel in West London. Studied sport and exercise science. When I got there, on campus, there was no outdoor court on campus, and there was no access to a gym outside of like practice, which was twice a week. Yeah. And I was like, "How am I going to make the NBA?" I dropped out. I dropped out of uni after 6 weeks. Yeah. Wow. So when I was 18, I went to university. I've got still the email sent to my tutor, being like, "I just can't pursue my basketball dreams here. I can't get access to a gym. Like this just isn't going to work for me." Damn. So
Brunel's a pretty prestigious sports university as well.
Yeah, but it just wasn't like you know what university sports is in this country. It's not what you expect it to be like. No. So dropped out, came home. I was dealing with like some. I hate saying this because it sounds like you're that guy that's talking about I got injuries and it. But I was dealing with some plantar fasciitis and some tendonitis in my knee. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that one.
So like in my head it was like I'm gonna go home, I'm gonna rehab, like see a physio, whatever, get fit. Work on my game, and then I'll be good, and then sort of try to make this happen. Mm-hmm. Went home, worked for a year in a leisure centre, earned money. Obviously, the basketball thing didn't really progress, and then at the end of that year, the university emailed me and said, "Oh, obviously you've deferred entry. Like we need to know, are you going to take your place, or are you going to not come back?" And I was just like, "Well, I haven't really got anything else to do, like, or I'm just going to carry on working at this leisure centre." And so I went back to university, and sort of at that point accepted that I wasn't going to the NBA.
Do they have a basketball team there though?
At the university, at that time. So when I enrolled, Brunel had finished the year before I first enrolled. They'd finished top 4 in the country.
Okay.
But that was when there was a big focus from certain programs on Bucks basketball.
Probably South Bank.
South Bank, Leeds, Plymouth Marjon.
Wow. That was when
Worcester.
That was when like Leeds were like Leeds Force or
well, it was before then.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, so there was like, but Brunel had no scholarships. It wasn't, you know, like we were the only school at that time that were doing it organically in that sense. Wasn't externally recruiting, etc. It was just whoever showed up.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I didn't make the first team. I was playing on the second team. That still pains me. It's to this day to be like, I played second team or whatever. Yeah. But that was the reality of my situation. Played obviously for university. Ended up taking the chairman role of the club for the last 2 years because just no one wanted to do it, and obviously I wanted to help the club.
Yeah.
So I guess that was like looking back. It was one of sort of my first experiences of being involved in the operational side of sort of off the court stuff.
Yeah.
And then graduated from university.
You graduated first class.
First class degree.
Yeah. Now, okay, so I'm on my research shit right now, bro. Yeah, I knew you didn't expect this question. Your dissertation title was Peak Performance Music Videos as a Tool for Inducing Arousal.
Yeah.
Why? What made you go for that to write your 6,010K word essay?
So when I was at university, I was really interested in video.
Yeah.
Like, I bought a video camera while I was at uni. I've got like, I don't know where it is, on these mini DV tapes. This was before, like, you load the tape into the camera.
Yeah.
And I was really interested in videos, like video editing. On my first actual experience in sort of the online world, I launched an unofficial students website at university called Brew What. With the whole point, the Students' Union website was crap, and it was like, let's make a cool like Students' Union website, yeah. So we used to go around campus. We'd film interviews, like, you know, ask people on campus like what their idea of the perfect date was,
Right.
like go around film highlights of sports.
So
Like you can still see the YouTube channel.
So you were like them street TikTokers before street TikTokers.
Yeah, exactly. Like the OGs. I mean, we're talking 2006, 2007.
Wow.
Like, you know, like back in the day. So for my dissertation, I wanted to do something around motivational video. Like
Yeah.
I've like, even now to this day, yeah, every morning when I'm shaving my head, I
Yeah.
put on motivational sort of music and speeches. Like
When you're shaving your head.
when I'm shaving my head, yeah, like I
that
get out
ain't
of the
gonna make
shower.
it grow back, bro.
But yeah, it's just to get me prepared for the day. Like there's like, you know, like a compilation of, you know, it's David Goggins or Joe Rogan, all these guys that have kind of done these like nice little speeches about
Yeah.
you got to put in work and like I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff. And I believed that motivational video can have a positive impact on athletic performance. Like you watch a pump up video before you start playing or whatever, it can improve performance.
Yeah.
And so when I looked into the research, there had not been anything done on the actual physiological responses to motivational video.
Yeah.
So I basically found, so Brunel was a very good athletics university.
Mm-hmm.
So we had like a bunch of multi-sport, like heptathletes, decathletes, that were like GB internationals.
Yeah.
Oh, I spent a summer following them around, filming them. Then I actually managed to get John Motson, who was the BBC athletics commentator.
Wow.
I just emailed him, and he said, "Yeah, I'll come down." He come down and recorded like a commentary, basically, saying their name. So it's like super powerful. So they're watching video footage themselves with music in the background, and then sort of a real BBC athletics commentator commentating on it. And then we hooked them up to like all of these monitors, obviously measuring their breathing rate, their heart rate, galvanic skin response, which is, you know, if your hair stand on end, all that kind of stuff. So we had them hooked up to all this equipment while they watched this video, and and then like we did it. Like it did well, and we managed to get it published in the Journal of Sports Sciences. So it was a published dissertation.
So what was your hypothesis, and what was it? Was it proved?
Yeah. The basically, because the hypothesis was that motivational video can have a physiological effect in terms of being a warm-up tool before to help improve performance, and we showed that it basically did. Like, so obviously it was still it's like the first stage of a study, but it's showing that there is a physiological response to watching motivational video, and so it can be part of your tool set to prepare for athletic performance, basically.
Okay.
So that was my dissertation.
So my question to you is, when you were in Eastbourne, 16, 15, and you thought you were going to go to the NBA, so what were you listening to try and motivate you? What was your arousal technique?
Do you know what? Yeah, when I was young, have you ever seen Michael Jordan's Airtime?
Yeah.
You know the series against New York in the playoffs, 92 playoffs, and he's talking about he basically says that, you know, New York are a physical team and sometimes you've got to talk trash to the bully. And so there's a scene of him and Xavier McDaniels going, you know, face to face, talking trash in each other's face, and it's like the music is super hype. And me and my friend who we used to play together, like we would just watch that like all the time. It's like a 3-minute sequence, still on YouTube. It's so sick. But that used to get me so pumped. I recommend, if you haven't seen that, that is well worth watching.
Okay, cool. All right. The There You Go Hoopers. You want to get pumped up like Sam Neill, go watch that video from 1990.
Long time ago. I don't know when Airtime was released. Yeah, it was a long time ago, early 90s.
So from university, you've graduated.
Yeah.
Like, you've come out of uni.
Yeah.
You've been the chairman of the basketball club. You've done all these things. You're starting to work in basketball operations. You're now getting into videography type of stuff. Like, what was the next step after that?
Well, I knew I wanted to be self-employed. Like, I never wanted to work for anyone else. I was just like, even now, like the thought of having to get a job just kind of hurts my heart a little bit. Just want to be in control of my own destiny, really. So I graduated from university and was trying to think about what I could do. I also wanted to work. At that time, I didn't have a job. And I graduated in 2008, so it was in the middle of the recession. It was difficult, and at that time I had ideas of being a strength and conditioning coach. That was kind of like where I was focused on trying to forge a career for myself, working with athletes, making them bigger, faster, stronger. And I originally wanted to have my own warehouse and build out a gym in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be called Neat's Athletic Training. I've even got the logo somewhere on a computer.
We'll put it up.
Yeah, I'll dig it up. And I just couldn't get a job, couldn't find the work at that time. Like, strength and conditioning was not as omnipresent as it is now. It was still a very niche thing. And I just wanted to work, so I found an advert I think it was in a paper saying, street fundraising, charity fundraisers. All you need to do is be able to commit to 6 weeks. So it wasn't a long-term commitment. So I was like, right, I'll take that. Went to the interview, all good. So I was that person that comes up to you in the street and says, can you give a monthly donation to XYZ charity?
Yeah.
And while I was doing that, it was like, what can I do on the side? And so the original plan was, let me do late night scrimmages for kids, keep them off the streets. There's been a lot of similar projects that have been done in the States, specifically in Chicago, that have shown that when they do these games, these scrimmages, they keep the crime rate in the whole area will go down X% or whatever it was. The idea was to have a website that would be the sort of the marketing platform for the runs. So we would have cool content on the website. People go to the website and then see, there's a run on Friday night or whatever. I'm going to go down and check it out.
And where were you running the run?
I never got to that stage.
Oh, wow.
So this was all kind of like the plan.
Conceptual.
Yeah. So I was like, right, I need to start getting some content together for the website.
Yeah.
Went to some tournaments in the summer of 2009, filmed them, cut up some highlights. Ryan Richards was playing for the England under-18s.
Dope.
In Kingston at Future Stars, which is a under-18 international tournament used to happen here, like one of the sort of like really good. Used to have high-level Division A teams playing it every year. Spain, Italy, Croatia. A bunch of NBA players have played in that. Which again, like Rudy Gobert played in it, Dario Saric, Mario Hezonja. And so, like filmed it, put it online, put it on YouTube. Early days of YouTube, and then just a lot of comments, just people being like, "Oh, like what else you be filming? What else you be covering?"
Yeah. So that was like your first video.
That's always been my narrative. That's been the first video. I actually checked, and that was the second.
Okay,
the first one was a tournament run by a guy called Mike Baptiste, who's not really involved with the game anymore, but used to run a thing called Street to Elite. And so he had this event that was in Enfield, which was essentially a showcase. And so I did a mixtape of that. There was a dunk contest and like an all-star game. Adidas was sponsoring it. It was a cool little vibe. And then I did that. And then Future Stars was the other thing. Future Stars was the thing that did views though, because it had like star names, international talent, and then you had sort of the international viewership as well. And so like I just thought, do you know what? Like,
when you were recording that, did you, like, you obviously recording that, but like, you're interested in it, you want to help build this kind of platform to help you run your scrimmages and stuff. But like, were you ever recording it thinking, oh man, like when you were recording it, were you thinking, oh man, like this could really actually be a thing? Like
that I've actually got a conversation that I had with someone back then, where I said, I'm good. I think I can do what Ball is Life and Hoop Mixtape are doing in the States and do it in the UK, and I think it could be huge.
Yeah.
So there was like an idea that it could be big.
Yeah.
Obviously, looking back now, I feel like that was quite a level of delusion as well, because I just didn't have any idea about the market size and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there was a, and like for me, like I'd never seen high level international basketball, right? So like even to see Ryan.
Yeah.
Like Ryan as a junior basketball player, like I mean even as a pro, but as a junior, like it was like nothing you've ever seen.
Insane,
like, I mean, you're talking about someone that's 7 foot, can handle the ball like a guard, can shoot, like can pass, he could do everything. Like I was like, this kid's going to the NBA.
He wasn't restricted to the normal limitations of a big man. We used to see it at that time.
Exactly. And this was still before this is more commonplace now, But like back then, like it was just like it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And so like. It was an eye opener for me just to see that we've got English players that are this good. Like, I had no idea. Yeah. And, this is coming from Eastbourne. Like I remember there was these two guys called Max and Eric who came down from London one day, and there's these seafront basketball courts that we used to play at, and they were dunking, and like we were just like, minds were blown. Yeah, like,
Wow.
never seen anyone dunk. Do you know what I mean? Like, just never. So, like, we were completely like oblivious to I guess the levels of British basketball.
Yeah.
And so yeah, like seeing Ryan, seeing that level of basketball, just I guess I changed my view a little bit. And then also because of the feedback that I got on the sort of the videos and stuff that I was doing, that summer I ended up following Midnight Madness around the UK, covering all of their events. So I saw a lot of basketball that I'd never seen before, never been exposed to before.
Was there anyone else documenting like this the way you were videography wise at that time?
Yeah, so the guy before me is Greg Tanner, streetball.co.uk.
Right. Okay.
Which, like, I mean, do you know about streetball.co.uk?
Nah, bro.
I mean, this like streetball.co.uk, like, it's like the thing. And to people of my generation, I mean, and what Greg was doing was like a global leader. It was like this was before like anything. Like we're talking about first and one mixtape days. Like it's it's like we're going way back where he was filming video, editing it, like putting up footage of his brother Stuart Tanner, who's like streetball legend, who's the guy that beat Devin Harris in the 1-on-1, is how a lot know him or whatever. But like he, what Greg did, like Greg really laid the foundations for what I'm doing. Like Greg was me in many ways. Like he was someone I looked up to, and when by the time that I got involved, streetball.co.uk didn't exist anymore. He had kind of transitioned into it was Fadeaway magazine to begin with. It was a print magazine and a website, and then that became MVP magazine, which obviously now it's still a little bit around. Mark Woods kind of does a little bit of it on socials, but the print magazine doesn't exist and the website doesn't exist in kind of how it was. But yeah, Greg was the one. So that year, I think it was that year, 2009. I think it was that year. Greg was at some of the Midnight Madness runs as well, and I always remember. I traveled the country. Spent my money like getting hire cars. Like I'm talking about going Nottingham, Newcastle, Portsmouth, like to film and then create these highlight reels or whatever
for Midnight Madness.
For me, but for Midnight Madness. And then they wouldn't let me film the finals.
Why?
I don't know. You'd have to ask Namo. And Namo's my guy. Do you know what I mean? Namo's been a mentor to me over the years or whatever. But back then, like, I feel like, it was like, I feel like it might have been a thing of just like, who's this guy? He's kind of been filming everything. He's kind of like, profiting off it or whatever. Yeah. But in the finals, I went to the finals, paid for a ticket or whatever, watched the finals.
You had the camera in your pocket, like.
Nah, there was no stealth filming. But in the finals, we went Guy Dupuis. Do you know Guy Dupuis, the French dunker?
Yes. Yeah, I do.
He had the dunk that went like worldwide viral. Yeah, like worldwide viral.
Yeah.
And like, I just remember being there like, I cannot believe I've grinded all summer.
I don't get to
and I
shoot
can't
this.
even film like the main thing. But yeah, and it was just like, this needs to be the thing. I need to be the media platform. Like the like outside of streetball.co.uk growing up, which, did a good job, but I think like still was limited by it was a side hustle. It's like I want to be the platform that I wanted to see when I was younger. Like, I want to see video footage of all the top young guys, like who are the best kids in their age group or whatever. I want to see interviews with them. I want to hear about players that are playing overseas and here. And so like the whole thing rebranded. Like it was originally the whole name of it was Ball Don't Brawl. Like that was the name.
That was
that's what it started as. Balldon'tbrawl.co.uk.
Ball Don't Brawl.
Ball Don't Brawl, because it was meant to be late night scrimmages and stopping kids from doing stuff like.
Ball Don't Brawl.
Exactly.
I hear you.
Exactly. And then I'd bought a domain called Hoopsfix, like hoopsfix.com. I'd bought just like thinking, this is a cool name. I think it's gonna I'll be able to use it for a basketball project at some point.
Pretty solid name, man. Solid name.
And then, do you know what? I'll go into that in a second. But yeah, so I bought the name, and then like ended up rebranding it to Hoopsfix because it was more relevant. You're getting your fix of hoops. And then January the 1st, 2010, it launched as Hoopsfix, rebranded, and that was kind of like the beginning, I guess, of what it is or what it became. But yeah, the name. Do you know what? Yeah, if I could go back, I wouldn't call it Hoopsfix.
Why? Why and what would you call it?
Because to pronounce, people lose the F because the S and the X. Hoopsfix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the
A
same.
lot of people say Hoopsfix. Yeah. A lot of people forget the S.
Yeah.
So even when I'm telling people my email address or telling people where to go, I have to spell it out,
Yeah.
which is just bad for a name. Like
Yeah.
you don't want to have to do that. So I would have Nils, the guy who runs Hoop Mixtape, we used to have this conversation all the time because he said everyone gets Hoop Mixtape, everyone thinks it's Hoops Mixtape, and like it's just like it's one of those things that's just a bugbear.
Yeah, yeah.
Like even last night on the NBA coverage on the BBC, they did a feature on Jeremy Sohan at halftime.
Yeah.
They featured our footage. They gave a courtesy, and the credit said courtesy of hoopfix.com. They got the URL wrong. So at that point, I've obviously since then, like at that time, there was a lady who was running a hula hooping company. You know, like run the hula hoops around your like hula hoop sessions or whatever.
You are not about to say what I think you're about to tell
She
me.
owned the domain hoopfix.com. And I was trying to buy it off her. Like, I kept messaging her, being like, "Look, like you're not gonna," because the website was kind of dead.
Yeah.
And she was just like, "No, like I'm using it or whatever." And then I don't know, like a year or two down the line, I just thought, "Oh, I'll check it one day," and it had just expired and it was there.
Yeah.
So I bought it. So now I own Hoopfix and Hoopsfix.
Yeah.
So if anyone does typo on the name, they get directed to the right place anyway.
Right.
But it's still like, if I was to go back, like Branding 101, like you want a name that's easily pronounceable. You don't have to spell out for people.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I messed up.
There you go, people. Brandon 101. Now you know.
There you go.
But if all else fails, just buy out the competitor, innit?
Yeah. Well,
That's what
exactly.
you did.
There's a lot of money in the internet for typos on domain names. Like if you own Google instead of Google,
Yeah.
you'll get
What did you say?
Google, like missing a double O or whatever, yeah. Like you will get like so much traffic that you can monetize. So there's like it's called domain scoring. There's a lot of people that do it because you can make a lot of money off like high trafficked domains, basically. But yeah, that's a whole
The
topic
more
for
you
another
know.
day. So yeah, like that was it. Like 2010, Hoopsfix was launched. At that point I was still fundraising, so it was evenings and weekends. Like I remember, like I was a team leader. Like I was pretty good at street fundraising. Kind of had the gift of the gab.
Yeah.
Pretty confident going up to strangers.
Yeah.
Learn a lot of the skills of objection handling, selling. Like I think it actually taught me a lot of life skills that have been really good for my life.
Mm-hmm.
But because I was a team leader, I had flexibility to be able to, we'd have to do some admin stuff. So I'd leave the team on the street and I could go to a cafe or whatever.
Yeah.
So like back then, like I used to be really like, tight everything. Because again, the downside of being a news site is you have to be reactive, and a lot of that is about being timely.
Yeah.
Like if you want it to get the traction, you need to be first. Or,
Quick.
and
And how old were you at this time?
This one's 23.
Okay, wow.
So yeah, news would break. I remember like there was one day. There was a GB under 20 squad was announced or whatever.
Yeah.
The mad thing is I'm not competing against anyone because no one's trying to do it.
Exactly.
It's just some weird race in my head of like, oh, I've got to do it. So I'd see an email on my phone come in on my BlackBerry, and it'd be like, GB under 20 squad is released or whatever. I would be like, okay, cool. I tell the team I'm going to do some admin. I go to a cafe. I fire up the computer on my phone, and I write the post on my phone on the laptop. Get it published. Push it on social or whatever, and then go back to the street and carry on working. And that was how it operated for, 2 years, 2.5 years, and then 2012 came around. Olympics were in town.
And Hoopsfix at this point was very much still your side hustle, like. You were doing other stuff more of your time.
I mean, the one thing that there was in 2010, just after I'd launched. This was like 3-4 months after I'd launched Hoopsfix, but about 6 months to a year after I'd been doing what I was doing, I was reached out by an agency in London called Albion, and they said, "Oh, we're working with the British Basketball Federation to do a campaign to try and raise awareness of the national teams.
Mm-hmm.
We need someone to be the face of it, and to host it. And you're obviously the only guy that's doing stuff in the basketball space. Like, are you interested?" So I was like, "Yeah, cool." So we had a meeting. Drew up a contract. It's like minimum wage, but that was my job for 6 months, like through the summer of 2010. I would go into their office every day, and I would work on. The campaign was called Back British Basketball. And we were trying to raise awareness of the Great Britain national teams. At that point, I had no idea about anything to do with British basketball. It was like that was sort of, I guess, my first part of getting an understanding of what it is, how it worked, all that kind of stuff.
So you went very much from being like, the way I'm seeing it, as well as like you went very much from being like the Midnight Madness, like the non, like international
Yeah.
like hierarchy kind of stuff, then transitioning from that opportunity into like, okay, this is
Yeah.
the big stuff now.
Yeah, of course. I mean, the other thing is like, so the reason this was happening and the reason there was money with GB was because the Olympic bid had been won,
Yeah.
and we had a national team in the Olympics, or we were gonna have that. At that point, FIBA actually hadn't confirmed that GB were going to get a host nation spot.
Right.
So the whole campaign, part of that became the hook. It was like, we are the only host nation that hasn't automatically got a spot, in their sport.
That's how bad it was.
And I think it was FIBA trying to get basketball in this country to sort itself out. Saying,
right.
like, Patrick Baumann, who's since deceased, who was the FIBA Secretary General, his whole thing was like, afterwards he'd said, we were never going to not allow GB in.
Yeah.
But like, we wanted to use it as the carrot to make them sort out the mess, you know.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
Get your shit together, man.
Unfortunately, that hasn't happened. You know, here we are, flipping however many years later after the Olympics, and it's still an absolute shambles. But yeah, so that summer, like, and obviously that team as well. In the run up to the Olympics, the GB team was stacked. Like that was like Luau, Pops, Joel Freeland. Like that was all the guys like that were playing for the Olympics or whatever. You know, it was huge. So me and Silky, this guy who actually I'd seen MC and host an event, the Street to Elite event.
Silky.
Yeah.
Do you know what's crazy? I saw this. I think you told me this as well because you were like, "Oh, how do you know this Silky guy?" And I was like, "I saw this guy at an old school R&B party.
Yeah.
At what is it, near the Shard or something, like some random like bop down the street near the Shard. And I saw him MC and I was like, this guy's a sick MC. I just got his IG and you asked me next day, how do you know Silky? I was like, I don't, bro.
Yeah.
I just think he's a dope MC.
Well, that was it. So Silky was at the Street to Elite event was amazing. Like as a host, especially considering he's not really a basketball guy. Like he was amazing. So we needed someone that was going to be like, I was like meant to be the sort of the basketball serious guy that kind of gave the expertise on the basketball. Yeah. But then we needed someone that was like wacky, a personality. Yeah. So we did like a few castings with different guys. And I said to them, Silky's the one. And like and so Silky, come down. We did a little shoot with him, and he's just got like, I mean, just balls of steel. He does not care. Yeah. Like, he does not care. So if you now go onto YouTube and you search Black British Basketball, you can see all this stuff on YouTube. Like you can see us traveling the country. You can see him with a megaphone walking down Oxford Circus, like just doing like Black British Basketball. Like we'd go on nights out in Newcastle. Like it was crazy. But we followed the GB team around that whole summer, and that was a 10-stop tour across the country, like Birmingham, Newcastle.
So it was almost like I don't know if you ever watched like there's like a Vice documentary and they follow like skaters around and stuff, and they do stuff like that. Yeah. So this was like unofficially with GB, but you were doing it as like a whole.
It was meant to look like an organic fan campaign, but it was actually funded by GB. They had contracted an agency. Damn, the agency then hired us, and then we were doing it, but the agency was kind of had the creative control. So we had like, we had like T-shirts. We had like we were given a section in the crowd called I think we called it the dog pound. Yeah. Dog pound. I think it was. And essentially it was for anyone that wanted to make noise. And we would be in there with drums and with megaphones for the entire game going nuts. And of course, like when you do it, people will follow. Like, so we had like, like a group of, I think we had 100 spots in this space. Yeah. So we'd fill that in each space. And it was amazing. Like, I loved it. Like one of the best summers of my life. Yeah. And so I come back after that. Went back to fundraising because I always knew it was gonna be a short-term contract for the summer. Went back to fundraising, and then
when were you able to like see the success of that and all that work in that summer?
I don't think like. The thing is, there are some people that say to me now, like, oh, I remember it was like so iconic. It was a big part of my childhood or whatever. But like when I looked, I don't think we achieved what we wanted to achieve. It wasn't like all of a sudden, GB are playing in front of thousands of people every single week and people are really invested. Like we obviously had a lot of wins in that. Yeah. We got an interview on Channel 4, we got mainstream coverage, like there was a lot of cool stuff that happened. But yeah, like I don't, I mean now like still there is no awareness of the Great Britain national team. So like that from that perspective it failed. But it was a massive, massive learning experience. And also, like, it was the first opportunity to be around, GB guys and sort of start building those relationships that would obviously serve me well, sort of later down the line, and get an understanding of the politics of how, basketball works in this country.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I went back to work. Ended up getting a job. Left fundraising, went and worked for a tech startup as a community manager called Group Spaces in Shoreditch, and was sort of doing all of their social media / community engagement, email support, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't really like it there. And then in 2012, the Olympics were in town.
Yeah.
And like there was just a bit more money coming in through the website than there had been previously, because all of a sudden like brands have got budgets, and there's that stuff happening. So like they're buying banner space on the website. Nike did a campaign. Yeah. There was like the World Basketball Festival happened in Brixton. We did stuff with them. Like I was on a judging panel for the dunk contest with like Luau, Scottie Pippen, and Narmo. Like there was just all this stuff happening. Like it was just crazy.
Wait, hold on. So you were on a panel of judges for a dunk contest in Brixton.
Yeah.
With Scottie Pippen.
Yeah.
Luau Deng and who?
Narmo, who's the founder of Midnight Madness.
How is this? How do people not know about it? In Brixton, bro.
World Basketball Festival, they built a court in the middle of Windrush Square. So you come out, when you come out of Brixton, you go up towards the left. You go up to come out of Brixton Station, walk up towards the left. Yeah. In front of the cinema, is it the Ritzy or I can't remember the name of the cinema. There's a cinema there. Yeah. In front of that square, they built a whole court. Wow. Like. It was crazy. Like the stuff.
Is this documented anywhere? Video wise.
We've done stuff. I mean, the stuff's still on our YouTube from years ago. From there, the dunk contest is still like was there. You can see the dunk contest on YouTube. Yeah. That did numbers.
How was it like judging the dunk contest? Scottie Pippen and Luau Deng.
Yeah, I mean, it was like it just felt like why am I here? Yeah. Basically, like,
you're looking next to him like
it doesn't really make sense.
You're like touching your head, thinking, "Am I Michael Jordan?"
yeah. No, it was a mad one. So like, yeah, like there was all this stuff happening around the Olympics that like just had never happened before. Like I remember like in the test before the Olympics, there was a test event in the Olympic Park, which is basically for them to test everything, but they have GB there, they had China there, they had a couple like good teams there, like so they could check all their broadcasting, check all of their process to make sure for the Olympics they're good. It's essentially like a dry run through. Yeah. And I remember going to that, and like there was just so much media there, like so much media, and I was like, I cannot believe like this is how much interest is being paid into basketball. Like this is going to change everything, And you just realised the Olympics was different, like, and I think there was so much hope going into the Olympics, But I think as it got closer, there's a piece written on my website somewhere talking about the Olympic legacy and all of that. But like it started becoming apparent as we got close to it that actually there isn't going to be a legacy, because if there was, all of the stuff that would need to be in place to take advantage of the Olympics would be in place. We'd already see it, but the stuff isn't there. So if the Olympics happens and like all of a sudden millions of kids want to play basketball, where are they going to play? Clubs have only got limited spots, and the same number of clubs exist, and they haven't got more provision. So it's like, what can happen? There can't be more kids that can play basketball because there isn't actually the infrastructure to support that.
So was this I guess this is a great point to maybe move on to the next question, but like, is that what you think then drove you to be like, start renovating more courts and thinking about, I know you have dreams of making a facility, and not so much dreams anymore, like plans now are really coming to reality. But like, you've renovated so many, like quite a few courts in London alone, and you said you're up to like 8 courts now around the country you're working on.
Yeah, working on. Like I would say we've only completed Clapham, so I don't want to be going to say we've done all these renovations. We're working on a bunch of renovations that within the next 12, 24 months, like a lot of those are going to come to fruition. Yeah. But yeah, now it became a mission. Yeah. Like in the same way it is now. Like, and funnily enough, when I interviewed Greg on my podcast, on the Hoopsfix podcast, Greg Tanner from UK, he said like at some point I just felt this weird sort of duty. Yeah. And that's the same way I feel. Like I feel like no one really wants to do what I do. Yeah. So like, if I don't do it, who's going to do it? Yeah. Like there is like, and I want to grow the game. I want to have a positive impact on the game. I want to make the game better for the next generation than it was for me. Yeah. And so like, I mean that all of the stuff beyond the website. I mean the website even in the early days, we had blogs. It was like there's a whole section called the State of the Game, where we'd have like different contributors, whether it was like a guy called Duco Van Oostrum, who's Devon's dad, who would talk about stuff, or Roy Packham, who's a legendary coach from Crystal Palace, will come and everyone would give their take on like what the issues are and sort of what the problems are with British basketball. So I've always been really interested in that because it is this perplexing thing to everybody. It's like, why?
Why does a place with so much potential just not get it done?
Exactly.
There's so many people that actually want 100%. To get it
done. And that is the thing that I'm obsessed with now. It's like I'm less interested in the actual basketball. Like, you know, someone said to me like recently, like, do you actually enjoy watching basketball anymore? Because it's very rare that I just go and watch basketball. Like, everything I look at is through a lens of like, how can this be changed? How can this be better? How can we grow on this? What are they doing this? How are they making money? Like, that's how I view everything now.
It's hard to be a fan when you've consumed yourself with improving the sport so much.
100%. And I definitely don't watch British basketball for enjoyment now. Like, it's very different. Like, it's very much this is a mission driven thing of like, I'm going to games to see the next generation coming through, see what the talent looks like, see what is going on at the grassroots, like, rather than I'm going to watch to enjoy basketball.
What would satisfaction of the game look like for you? Like, what would you have to see within the scope of British basketball? I know that's a difficult question. You could say everything, but like
to me, it's like seeing basketball penetrate mainstream culture. Like at the moment, it is so niche. And I think all of us forget about that because we're all in our own little bubbles that we all love basketball. So everyone we talk to speaks about basketball.
Same,
But, you know, like, everyone's talking about the BBL All-Star game yesterday or whatever because we're in that world. But like, actually, British basketball.
Sorry, man.
But actually, if we go, I always say, like, go walk down Oxford Street, speak to 100 people. Name me a British basketball league team. Name me a member of the GB Starting Five. Name me a GB legend. Name me a British player that's played in the NBA. Ain't no one's got an answer. Like, and so really success looks like that. But then outside of that, it's like it looks like building out a complete infrastructure for the sport. Like, you know, we need purpose-built facilities. Like, we need club-owned facilities. Like, that is such a huge thing. We need more clubs or better clubs, bigger clubs. So there is provision for basketball. There is no reason why, in the same way that if you are 5 years old and you want to play football, you can go and find somewhere within 10, 15 minutes of wherever you live. Like, that's how it should be for basketball. Like, and it's just not like that. You know, and I lived that growing up. Like, you know, like, there was no National League club in my area. Like, we'd have to go to Brighton. It was a 45-minute drive.
And you've only just got one now.
Yeah, we've only just got one now. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's to me, it's like, once it's in mainstream culture, what happens is the economy around it changes, and when
sponsorship goes up,
exactly,
like
and when the economy around it changes, that's when everything changes because there's money in it. So all of a sudden, we're not doing this as a passion project. We're all getting paid, and then there's actual incentive for other people to get involved. I always draw parallels between the UK grime scene and British basketball. Because years ago, the UK music scene was like British basketball in the sense of it didn't have its own identity. It looked to America for approval and validation. Rapping with an American accent, you know, all this or whatever. And then what's happened over time is that it's built its own identity, and the economy around it now, like, what guys can make as UK music artists is insane. Like, you've got millionaires. There's a whole industry around it, that like never used to exist. Like, in a way that people just used to do it for the love and for the passion. And you know, they would be in it for years, and they would never be making any type of real bread. Like, that's where British basketball is right now. Like, it's like everyone that's in it really is in it for the love. When you get to the stage of where the UK music scene is now, like, that's when everything changes. Because then the next generation sees an opportunity. It's like, well, I could change my family's life. I could change my own life by being involved with it. Right now, it's like, you know, you look at it, it's very much a bit of a downer, isn't it? It's like, why would I do this?
I mean, but you see, it's so funny you say that because you're saying, why would you do this? But bro, you're doing it. You are doing it yourself. So like, why do you, Sam Nita, this person with all this amazing potential that could be doing so much? You've worked for FIBA. Another thing that people probably don't know is that, like, you had a full-time job working for the flipping people that run basketball in the continent, and you took that opportunity away from yourself to give yourself to the game. Why do you still do it? What is your why for continuing to grind yourself down and be so frustrated with this game that hasn't given back to you in a way that it should in so many years? Why do you do it?
I just feel like I've got a document, yeah, which I read. I used to read it every morning, and it's kind of, I've fallen out of the routine. But it's kind of got my life mission or whatever, and that is to grow British basketball and help British basketball reach its potential. Like, that is my purpose on this earth. Like, I know that sounds real fucking cheesy, like, but like genuinely, like I really feel that. Like, it's like that's what I want to do. Yeah. And like, of course, as I get older, you know, real life starts hitting in a different way to when you're younger. You know, my personal circumstances are changing a lot at the moment, and so like, you know, I am much more conscious about money. And I'm much more directed in kind of how I'm trying to do things to make money, which I think I neglected for a large part of my career. Obviously, I worked a fee, but I earned very good money. It's Swiss salaries. I lived in Switzerland. Like, do you know what I mean? I turned that down because it was affecting what I'm trying to do here. I couldn't do what I wanted to do here.
I mean, you already said that you knew from a young age that you didn't want to work for anyone. You wanted to work 100%. For yourself.
So like, but yeah, at some point, like, you know, even if it does get to the point that I will have to get a job to make sure that I can still pay my bills, this will still be evenings and weekends until I can go back on it. You know, like this isn't, I'm a lifer. This is what I'm going to do until I die. You know, like 100%. But I have to find a way to make it financially sustainable and independent and, you know, like, and working. And that is difficult. Like, we're in, like, the British basketball market is incredibly tough, as everyone learns when they get into it. You know, you know, you like, just the market is so small, and so like so many. You know, I'm obsessed with business. I listen to a lot of business podcasts, and one of the biggest contributors to success is the market that you choose to be in. Yeah, and when you're in a market as small as British basketball, it's like trying to surf where there are no waves. It's like you can be the best surfer in the world, but if there ain't no waves, like, you ain't gonna surf. Do you know what I mean? Like,
just a skateboard with no wheels.
Yeah, like, for real. Like that, and that's really where the game is. It's like the market is so small. Like, and I get frustrated a little bit with the narratives that the federation, the pro leagues push a little bit. I understand why they do it. Because
what are those narratives?
Oh, just like, there's a million kids playing basketball every week. Like, all of this stuff about everything's on the up. It's all crazy. Like, there's just so many kids playing it, and it's like, well, I just don't believe that's true. I think the Active Life Survey, which is what Sporting uses as a measure, like, that's a mess anyway in terms of how it's actually used as a measuring tool. I don't think that data is accurate, and also, like, you know, well, it counts if you've played basketball at school in the last week. You're counted as someone that's playing basketball, but it's like, well, that's not playing basketball. Like, you know, at school I did rugby, hockey. I'm not a rugby or a hockey player. Do you know what I mean? It's just part of the curriculum, and I had to do it sometimes. Where it's like, actually, what is the measure of how many people are playing basketball? Is how many people are choosing to go and play basketball, whether that's going to the park, to go and scrimmage or whatever, or being involved in organised basketball sessions.
And that's not you trying to take away from people playing the sport. It's you saying to people, look, this is great, but let's actually take things of value from that, things that can actually help us grow.
100%.
Because like you said, it might be, the thing people always say is it's the second most participated sport, you know, that stat we're always hearing lately. But your thing is that, like, okay, but how many of those participants are actually helping and being a part of the...
How really into basketball are they? Like, that, you know, I know that when I walk down the street and I see a school kid with a basketball under their arm, I notice it because it doesn't happen a lot.
Yeah, same.
Right?
Same.
And if that many kids were playing basketball, you'd see a lot more basketballs, and it wouldn't be some mad thing of like, oh my god, there's a kid with basketball. Like, so you know, like that, and then the same, like, you know, I go past courts all the time. Like, you know, the average court down the street, I've got a court right outside where I used to live in Plaistow. Like,
I remember.
It's not played on all the time. There's not kids on it all the time, and there's loads of kids in the area. Like, basketball ain't, and I don't say all this to like shit on anyone's parade or be super negative or anything. It's more like, if we're going to change the game and grow the game, you have to start from a point of truth. Because otherwise we're all just bullshitting ourselves. And you're just like, how can you put in any type of real strategy to change anything if you're starting with false numbers? Because actually, if you think we're the second most popular sport for 11 to 15-year-olds, whatever it is,
we shouldn't.
Then you're probably going to think quite differently about how you approach it, because you're like, well, actually, there's loads of kids playing. When it's like, well, I don't know if that's the case.
So there's loads of kids playing. It's like what you said earlier, like where they playing, what they playing in.
Exactly.
Like, where.
Like, basketball, I don't want to get this wrong, but like, I asked basketball how many, recently, I sent him an email, I said, how many registered junior National League players are there in the country? And it was somewhere around 20,000. Yeah, they're playing junior National League. And I understand, obviously, junior National League, supposedly, if your structures are right, that's meant to be the elite. Everyone else would be playing locally in CBLs or whatever. Unfortunately, it's not a lot of local basketball that happens anymore. But like, you're telling me there's 1 million kids that play every single month, but but of that million, only 30,000 want to play National League.
What's that as a percentage?
Numbers ain't adding up. Numbers are not adding up. Like, it's just, I just don't buy it.
Immediate things that we can do right now in the scope of what we have. Like, what do you think can be done? What's the first thing that needs to happen to start that catalyst of actually really building?
Well, the first thing that needs to happen is that there needs to be a level of everyone feeling accountable for where we are as a game, and feeling a responsibility to change it. Yeah. Like, everyone is willing to shit on British basketball. Like, everyone. I see it on our social posts every single day. It gets pretty boring. Yeah. How crap the game is. I
came off Twitter, bro. I can't lie to you. I can't go on Twitter anymore, bro.
Yeah, and that's it. So it's like, cool. We're willing to be negative about it. But what are we actually going to do to try and change it? Like, realistically, there needs to be strong leadership. And that needs to come from the federation. Like, the federation needs to lay out an ambitious and inspiring vision that people can get behind, and then act as a facilitator and enabler for people to be able to then contribute. I just don't think that has happened. Like, I tweeted the other day about the Barca winning the strategic plan, which they released in 2018, 6 years ago. And interestingly, on each page, underneath each sort of ambition point, there was, what does this look like in 2024? So they've literally outlined what this should look like this year. Yeah. And you go through it and you're like, I'm not really sure if we've achieved any of these things. And so then the question becomes, well, what are we doing about that? Because if the governing body is a member organisation, and people forget that, so the membership, the clubs, has the power to guide and inform the governing body. And so if the membership feels that they're not happy with what the governing body is delivering on or how the sport is being run, they have the power to change that. Yeah. But that takes a collective effort, everyone getting on the same page, someone sticking their head above the parapet and, taking a leadership position on trying to drive it through. Yeah. To then say this is not good enough. Like, we want better than this. The sport deserves better than this. But yeah, collectively the sport's got to come together to do that. And unfortunately, historically, it's shown that it is unable to do that.
Okay. Intense, man. Intense, but this is the thing, like it's important that people hear that. Like, I feel like people can probably come to a lot of those conclusions themselves. Like, I think you'd agree, like, you're not the only person that might actually think that, but it's important that people hear it, especially from, like, yourself, like, being who you are. And, and I know you don't want to, in your head, I know you're very, not in your head, you are a very humble person. But, like, generally what I said at the start of this, like, you've pioneered so much, a lot for a lot of people, I'm going to say like me, who might not have the ambition or the access to, like, go and find out all of these things about basketball and stuff. So, like, like, this is the person that runs the biggest social media outlet for flipping basketball in the UK, and this is what he wants from people to know more about the game. So
I think people also can ask those questions. I'll be the first one to email Basketball England and be like, well, what's the situation with this? And ask it and try and find out what's going on. And everyone needs to be proactive like that. It's like, there does need to be unfortunately, a lot of people have given up. There's a lot of the older heads especially are just like, it's never going to change. Like, there's a guy I met for lunch a few weeks ago. He's 83 years old. And he said, it's never going to change in my lifetime. He's like, I've been saying this since I was in my 20s, like late teens. And he's like, it's the same stuff. He's like, I could give you newspaper articles, TV features from back then that you could copy, you could transcribe word for word, put over footage from today, and it would still apply. And so obviously, it is easy to get a bit more cynical and jaded. You know, the
Yeah.
longer I've been in it, like I remember when I started, the amount of people that would tell me, why are you wasting your time with this?
Yeah.
You know, like especially the older heads, just like it's just, you know, if you think about your career, your future, and I can feel myself being a little bit negative at times as well,
Yeah.
because it is like, you know, I've seen a lot of things, seen a lot of people try things. There's things that I think are going to work that don't work. It is a tough nut to crack. So, and, you know, anyone that says they got the answers, they're lying, because it's like, well, no one's done it. No one's been able to make it work in the way that we believe that it can work. It's always just been this untapped potential of what could be.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm still optimistic.
Yeah.
And funny enough, like, obviously, you know, 777 are not the most popular group within British basketball at the moment.
Yeah. I'm gonna get onto that.
But when I speak with, you know, members from 777 or like Americans particularly that are looking at basketball as an investment opportunity here, the ambition and the optimism is like, it's so contagious.
Yeah.
And it's inspiring for me to be around, because I can very much get caught in my own bubble or whatever.
Yeah.
And when you got them being like, this is what we believe the sport could be.
Yeah.
Why couldn't there be millions of kids playing every single week? Why couldn't we have 5,000-10,000 people going to watch British Basketball League games every single week? Why not?
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, why not?
Yeah.
And I'll come on my phone and be like, let's do this.
Let's
like,
go.
Yeah, exactly. Like proper pumped up.
Yeah.
Because like, you know, our culture in the UK is we ain't like that. Like, and I think that's a big difference between American and UK culture. Is that in America you start something, everyone's just backing you. Like, yeah, come on, let's do it. The American dream, all that. Like, go after your dreams. And like in the UK, like we're much more crabs in a bucket mentality, hating, pulling people down, don't want to see others succeed.
Yeah.
And obviously that's pretty tiring to be around. Like,
I think that actually transitions into, as well as that the umbrella of British basketball, I feel like that transitions into every single part of it, from media, like broadcasting. Like, it's so, like, even Derek talks about in the last episode, like people think like it's like this big competition or like whatever, and it just pulls everyone down. Like, it's not. Like, the more of us that are doing, like, we have this opportunity to make this huge dining table, and everyone can bring in their food, and we can all share, and the dining table gets bigger, and before you know it, even more people want to come in to our house party, right? But because we're all compared, I don't feel like sharing my food. It's like, oh man, that person's food ain't nicer than my food, whatever.
Yeah.
It's like no one eats.
Yeah. That's Narmo said that to me so many times. One of the first podcasts I did was with him years ago. And he just said, like, everyone's fighting over crumbs rather than building a pie so we can all have a slice, you know? And that's where it is. It's like right now where the sport is, it's like, if you're fighting over it, you're fighting over crumbs. Like, it ain't it. Like, and ain't no one going to win. No one's going to really win until the whole pie grows. And we've all got to build that together. So yeah, like, you know, I'm and of course, like, you know, I'm a human. Like, I see SBB getting 700,000 followers on TikTok, and I'm like, fuck, like they've been here like 4 years. I've been doing this 15 years. Where am I going wrong? Do you know what I mean? And you could, like, obviously you can feel your internal, like, oh, that kind of kills me a little bit. It hurts, like, but then also it's like, that's just your natural human emotions,
which is okay.
Yeah, it is okay, but I want them to win. Like, I want them to win, because if they win, I win. We're growing a pie, and so you've got to be supportive of it. And it's like, it's fighting those natural things, not actioning them, and just being like, nah, like, I want them to win. Like, I want Derek to win. I want Hoopsfix to win. I want, you know, whoever. Like, I want you to win. Like, I want us all to win, because then we all grow together. We all come up together.
Facts.
And that's how it needs to be. But yeah, like, you do have to fight over. Yeah, I've got human emotions like everyone else. Like, of course, like, you see numbers, like, and you want to be the one with the biggest numbers. Of course, like, I hear that, but it's staying true to your mission. Like, it's very easy to get caught up in that stuff, and you know, I know what I'm trying to do, and no one's trying to do what I'm trying to do. So it's like, if I just carry on trying to do what I'm trying to do, and don't, you know, block out all that noise. Sometimes it's good not to get too caught up in all the social media stuff, and focus on my mission. Then like, you know, everyone does the same. It's like, we'll all get it together.
Yeah, man. Said it in episode 1. If your food is good, people gonna come eat, innit? Okay, that's good, man. We're gonna take a little break, man. After this little break, we'll be back and be talking about more stuff. We're gonna talk about 777. We're gonna talk about the league, and we're gonna talk about what's coming up next for Hoopsfix, man.
Cool.
This episode of For the Culture is proudly sponsored by the Minimum brand. The new basketball season is finally here, and I know a lot of you hoopers will be looking to start fresh. fresh garms, fresh crepes, and maybe even a brand new team. But tell me, what's your legging game like, guys? You ain't got to worry about it because the Minimum brand have got you covered. Brand new performance leggings made by Hoopers for Hoopers. Now, if you're anything like me, the shot ain't what it used to be. These leggings are perfect because you don't want to be getting a cramp when you're chasing all them bricks now. These leggings are made with a high quality dry fit material, mesh panels in all the right places so you can let that booty breathe to keep you cool and comfortable no matter what you're doing on court. Now, what's life without choice? The Minimum brand have given you the option to customize the length of your leggings exactly how you like. You can choose from having the left leg long, the right leg long, or both short or both long, whatever you like. Head to the website and click exactly how you want your leggings to be cut and they will be sent right to your doorstep. Not only are these leggings high quality, made by British basketball players and a British basketball brand, they are also incredibly affordable. Affordable? Yes, affordable. And with the code FTC, you can get 20% off. So make sure you go punch that in, head over to the Minimum brand website and get your leggings now. Good luck to everyone playing this season, indoors, outdoors, recreational or professional. We wish you all the best, man. Now, let's get back to the episode.
Obviously, there's been so much happening in our game over the last couple of years. We talked just then about Americans and the investment from 777. Very quickly, because I'm sure there's a lot you can say about, like, what do you think of that investment? Where do you think their involvement has put the scope of our game at?
Well, first of all, you can never knock someone for putting in 40 million into British basketball.
Yeah.
When you talk about putting your money where your mouth is, like, there ain't many people that have done that.
Yeah.
I don't even think there's anyone that's done that.
Yeah.
So, you know, in terms of a statement of intent and kind of like their belief in the sport, like, I think that's pretty legit. And it no doubt helps the sport in many ways, just by the fact that, you know, investors are the same as the rest of us. So they hear that someone's investing over there, they want to go and have a look, and so it does bring sort of more of the right eyeballs onto the sport. That said, obviously when you have a lot of money, it's easy to solve problems just by throwing money at them.
Yeah.
So it's very easy to just waste a lot of money. And I think, you know, when you look at where the money's been spent in some ways, I think there are definitely, well, there's been a lot of just burning through money unnecessarily, and it's not, they could have potentially got what they got out of it for less money or got more out of that money. I think that's, in the UK, it's what we do. Like, you know, because we're so used to not having money, we can just bootstrap together things on next to nothing. You know, like, I'll always remember, like, when Joe Pinchin got his job with Chicago, and he's just like, bro, like, these people got such big budgets, and it's like, and I'm just in my sort of British basketball mindset of, like, you know, I just go and do it myself. I go and do this. It's like, no, you hire someone to do that. You hire someone to do that. Like, and so, yeah, I mean, I think, like, you know, I think the sport is in a better place for what 777 have invested in it? 100%.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you can say what you want about the grassroots level of sport and kind of where we're at or where we're not at, but I think from a professional league standpoint, it's clear to everyone that we're in a better place than we were 3, 4, 5 years ago. You know, I remember when I started Hoopsfix trying to cover the British Basketball League, do you think there was any game tape? Like, do you think you could even you could watch a stream, or like, there was no way of accessing the game? Like, you know, even getting hold of stats and whatever. Like, it was like, even photos of games, like, all of that stuff was just impossible. So, like, like, of course they've taken massive steps forward, and, like, have a vision for what they believe the sport can be.
They've had some big news lately to do with obviously them pulling the women out of the Euros next year. Big credit to them, first of all, before we get on to anything else, for what they've been able to achieve and how big that is for the game. I don't think people actually realise how, I'm sure they do, but I would like to see it further, how much they realise. Like, I went to go watch the semi-final at the Copper Box last week, and I was actually really disappointed with how many people are actually there. Like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
fact that the lower bowl couldn't sell out for a game that big, and I don't know what the answer is. I'm not here trying to shit on anyone
Yeah.
or anything. Like it was just still like so like, yo, like this is actually. We're talking about history in the making. There's been so many records broken in British basketball,
Yeah.
like over the last 2
Yeah.
years by so many different
Yeah.
organizations, teams. But like, bro, like not that many people showed up for that
Yeah.
game, and I'm
Yeah,
just like, even just emotionally, like the fact that all these people know, or maybe they don't know, that this funding might not be there for this team next year, or isn't gonna be there. It's like, come on for the victory lap, bro. Like help prove.
But again, like that's a prime example of you being in your bubble.
Yeah.
It's like, of course, everyone in the basketball circles is sharing around like the
Yeah.
article that says they're coming out of Europe, but still,
Yeah.
like realistically, how many people saw that and read that? A few hundred.
Yeah.
Like a few, probably most of them aren't even in London. So like
Yeah.
you know, like most people don't know that. You
Yeah.
know. But yeah, I mean, I think you could probably make a pretty strong case we might never see a British women's team as strong as that.
Yeah.
Or a British team as strong as that in context, you
Yeah.
know. So of course they're history makers, and like you'd like to believe that the fans would get behind them and support them. But again, like this is the whole thing. It's like money doesn't buy you culture, doesn't buy you fandom. Like, and that's
It doesn't.
clearly
It
what the
really
Lions
doesn't.
have learned, you know, over the last however many years. It's like you can put a good product on the floor, which is what they're doing now. You're putting players on the floor that you'd never thought would have played in the British Basketball League, you know, a few years ago, and you still are unable to, or you haven't been able to, up until this point, build a dedicated fan base that keep coming back every week in, week out, that are invested in whether or not you're winning and losing.
Yeah.
And it's just not. There's no simple answers to that.
What do you think, if you could narrow down, I don't know, let's say to three keys to building fandom for British basketball, what would you say those are? Like, what do you think we need to do at that point to make people want to come without having to incentivize them with loads of stuff, like
Well,
building a fan base?
Yeah, I think it's building from the bottom up instead of the top down. Like, you know, the reason Milton Keynes can get 500 people travelling to National Cup finals, even though they're a Division 2 team, is because they have over 1,000 kids in their community programs all across Milton Keynes. Like, they're a team for the city or whatever. Like, you know, like Lions haven't really built the infrastructure out below the pro teams at the moment. They're not across, you know, all the boroughs in London, delivering sessions, you know, having feeders into the club. Like, it's just that hasn't evolved yet. So, like, I think building from the bottom up is one way. You know, you've seen teams that do that are able to attract a fan base because they have that affinity with the club, with the program.
Yeah.
And then it's like, you know, it's the stuff that the league talks about. It's the, you know, it's the storytelling. It's the, you know, the narratives around the game and telling those so that people feel invested in those players, so they want to come and watch those players. You know, I think, you know, one of the things that I think historically I've struggled with the British Basketball League is that it is predominantly Americans. You know, the All-Star game, we had one homegrown British player in the men's game. You know, like that. It's like
Jamal.
a lot of these Jamal. Yeah, it would have been Gabe as well, but obviously he pulled out. But yeah, realistically, like, I want to see players that have come from where I've come from.
You want to be inspired.
Yeah.
Like, and you need someone who you can identify with to be able to do that.
100%. And I think, like, and again, you know, the Lions, to their credit, have signed British players that we wouldn't see in the UK if it wasn't for them. You know, there's not, you know, Gabe is not playing in London if the Lions didn't have the budget that they had. You know, Luke is not playing in London if the Lions weren't doing what they're doing, playing in the Euro Cup, all this kind of stuff.
Temi.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but you still then got to build out everything around that and tell their stories and make it clear that they're from London, and you've got to get them out in the community. You've got to make them doing appearances. You've got to get the media to take notice. Like, it's a whole thing. Yeah. But, you know, I can't sit here and talk like I know how to do it. Because I don't know if anyone could do a better job. Because, like, has anyone done a better job? Like, no. Like, it's not
it's
like
true.
So it's easy. It's easy for anyone to get on a keyboard, be a keyboard warrior, or get on a podcast and saying they should do this, they should do that. But until you do this stuff, you just don't realise. Like,
how much work it really takes.
Like, for us to sell tickets to events and stuff, it's not we just put them on sale and then they sell. Like, it's a grind. Like, we're working to make that happen. Like, like, it's just, you know, like, it's funny, like, the what is referred to as the Bronny game,
Yeah.
Hoopsfix Elite, California Basketball Club / Sierra Canyon in 2022. Like that is the first window I've had of what British basketball could be, in the sense of, one, it was the core British basketball community audience.
Bruv,
yeah,
that was mad.
Like,
it was mad. We talked about it with Derek last episode, man. We're like, yo, that was mad.
you don't see those people at games.
Yeah.
Like it's just they're the players. They are the players. Like in this country, if you're a player, you're not really a spectator.
Yeah, you're not.
Yeah,
you're not.
like
It's
you don't.
true.
You just want to play. Like
Yeah,
you don't
it's
care
true.
about spectating. You just
Yeah.
want to be a player.
You don't care about who's playing here, who's in the league. You don't probably don't watch the British
A lot of the time
basketball
because you
league.
think they're trash and you think you're better than them.
Yeah,
So it's like, why am I going to go and pay money to go watch him? He was in my
Crabs
gym
in a
last
bucket.
week. Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like
yeah.
that's the reality. But like we had that whole community, and then not only that, like it was I can't even. There was a few things about it that stick out. I remember asking for an update on ticket sales like 2 days or 24 hours after they'd gone up.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, okay, I think if we've done like 1,000, I'll be happy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were like 3,500. I was like, fuck off.
Yeah. There's no way.
I was like, we're gonna sell this thing out. Like it was like 2 weeks before the event. I was like, we're
Yeah.
gonna sell this out. We've done 3,500 tickets in like 24 hours. Like, and then of course, like on the day, like you've got like crowds outside. They open the doors, and they hadn't done allocated seating.
Yeah.
And that was like, there was a whole thing the day before of like, they shut down the ticket sales because I started being like, I think you're going to have some issues here.
Yeah.
Because like, I mean,
People jumping gates like it's wireless and
yeah,
stuff
like the messages we were getting on social, like, it was just crazy. It was like, "Hey, where can I get a ticket? Like people just going nuts for it.
Yeah.
And so they shut down the tickets early. So even though the copper box capacity is 5,500, the actual what we sold was 5,250 or something like that. So there was a little section up in the top on the side that you can see in some of the footage that's empty, because they started panicking that there was a potential health and safety hazard and But you can see we've got footage of it, people running in when the doors open. Everyone's trying to get down to courtside or whatever. Anyway, what I was going to say was when the ball was thrown up, for tip off, the crowd just went nuts.
Yeah,
like,
crazy, bro.
and I remember like I was sitting next to Bradley, my main man Bradley, he's my right hand man.
Man,
He's
like Bradley.
You know, like Bradley, like I always say he needs way more credit than he gets.
Yeah.
He hides behind the scenes. No one knows he does what he does, but like realistically, like so much of what Hoopsfix does is him.
Yeah.
And I definitely would not have been able to do everything that we've done without him. But I remember turning around to Bradley and just being like, "This is mad," and he was like, "Yeah," and like, they wanted us to win.
Yeah.
Like they were actually invested
Yeah.
in the success
Yeah.
or failure of us. And the atmosphere was crazy. And you see that and you're like,
Yeah.
this can work.
It was so pure, bro. There was no like gimmicks. There was no like, oh yeah, come in and you can win this or whatever.
Yeah,
bro,
yeah.
people came to watch hoop, and it was like exactly, you know, like we watch teams in Europe, right? And they have like they have like their coaches that they're doing like the Poznan and stuff and all that stuff. That's them, and like it's great that it'll be great to get to like a place where like that. But I don't think that's us, bro. I think us UK here basketball, we are what that game was, bro. Guys, people coming in tech fleeces, like that was us, bro. Like that was UK, bro. Like people going mad, like oh yeah, oh like
Yeah.
It was nuts, bro.
Yeah.
It was
and
nuts.
that's the other thing is like, you know, like generally in the UK, like we're too stush
Yeah,
to be
bro.
going
Yeah.
nuts, to be
Yeah,
giving
yeah,
credit,
yeah.
to be going crazy. You
Too
see,
cool. Everyone thinks they're too cool.
That's
But
it.
It's that same mentality. I think it's still that same mentality of like you see someone going mad at a game, especially for basketball, and you're like, what the hell is this guy doing? Because to you it's not normal. But really and truly, bro, when you go to like a sports hall gym, right? Or like, for example, when you did the pro-am in Kola,
Yeah.
and it was intimate.
Yeah.
Because that's what we're used to.
Yeah.
And that's what we like seeing, like
Yeah.
we feel comfortable in those small environments because that's what we're used to.
Yeah.
When people go to these arenas, they ain't trying to stand up and
Yeah,
make
yeah.
that big atmosphere
Yeah.
because it's weird.
Yeah.
But
No,
that
it's true.
day, everyone was
Yeah.
packed
That was it.
together.
It was just nuts.
It's
Like
insane.
it was like, yeah, that I think is peak all time Hoopsfix. Like I just that summer of 2022.
Yeah.
It's a shame because as much as I look back on it as like that was the summer, it at the moment, the way things are going, it feels like that was the peak
catalyst,
and we've been going down. And I wanted that, I wanted that to be the inflection point. Like I remember saying after that summer, we're good now. Like we launched the Pro-Am. We've done the All-Star Classic. That was our first year with Jordan. We were at Crystal Palace, which was a step up for us. 1,700 people. Like, obviously we had the Bronny game. We did NBA 3X. We had Summer Jam at Clapham. Like, it was like we've just owned the entire summer. And I just can't see how we can ever, like, we've shown what we can do by people taking punts. Like, you know, the Bronny game, we didn't make no money from that. Like, there was no money made. Like, we made a conscious choice that we wanted to win. Like, we were playing to win. So we flew the GB under-18s were in Turkey. We flew them back. We paid money for their flights because GB, for some reason, we're not flying them back until like 4 or 5 days after the Euros finished. We flew them back from Turkey, paid for their flights, brought them back. We had a 3-day training camp. We obviously played Montana State as a warm-up, got blown out by like 40, 50 or whatever. We're in training camp every day, practices, like video, tape, the whole, like we took it so serious, but obviously that cost money. Like, and that was where the money that, you know, I could have pocketed, but it's like, this is like such an opportunity.
And that's the investment. And the thing is, what people don't realize, that when you say pocket, like, people really have to understand what you mean by that. It's like the amount of time you spend doing the paperwork for all of these things. Like you've invested your whole time, your whole life, your whole adult life, like you said, into this. So it's just to clarify that for people. Like when you're saying pocket, it's like allow yourself to live.
There's no in that, for that project, there is no minimum wage for me. There's no nothing. Like, I do not walk away with any money in my pocket from that. But the thing is, I don't even want to talk about that like that's some noble thing, because that's not a good thing. And I remember, like, actually, Russell Levinston from Leicester Riders said to me years ago, like, for the All-Star Classic, he's like, you got to start paying yourself. And I said, why? And he's like, because the thing is, if you want to do this for a long time, you need to be able to earn from it. Like, otherwise, what's going to happen is you're going to get bitter about it and you're going to end up walking away, because at some point, you've got to make the choice between, are you doing this for the passion, or what you're going to do something to pay your bills? And obviously, I'm trying to reframe these things in my mind of, like, it's not some noble thing where I'm some warrior that doesn't get paid, and so it's all about the purity of the game. It's like, well, no, actually, everyone needs to earn a living from this thing. That's what's going to grow it. It's like there needs to be money in it, and money's not some dirty thing that, you know, that tarnishes it in some way. It's like nah, that's like, unfortunately, money makes the world go round. Like that's what's going to help grow this thing. It's money. Like,
you need an economy.
Yeah, you do. But yeah, like after the summer, I was just like, we're good. Like we are good. And then.
Would you say the Bronny game was like your proudest moment in Hoopsfix? What is your proudest moment in Hoopsfix?
Well, it's that all renovating Clapham Common. Like,
really?
Like Clapham Common was like, that's something. When I started the All-Star Classic in 2014, the idea of that was using the funds that we raised. We didn't end up raising anything, ran it at break even. But like, the idea was the funds we raised from that was going to put in bleacher seating at Turnpike Lane. That was the first thing we wanted to do. It's like, let's build an outdoor event space. We can do outdoor events. And so it's always been like, I want to do a court. Like, I want to do a court. And then of course, like when Clapham, sort of when we started, like, let's just make this happen. Like in 2018, put a thing on social saying, we're going to renovate a court. At that point, had no money, no funding, no idea how we were going to do it. Let's just like make it happen or whatever. Put it out into the universe, and then things just start happening. Do you know what I mean? It's like, and so spoke to the council, you know, spoke to the Friends of the Park group, kind of like done everything we needed to do to get the green lights to start making it happen. We just didn't have the money. And then, like, just out of nowhere, just get an email being like, NBA and Foot Locker, they got money. They need to spend it before the end of the financial, by September it was, by September of that year. They need a court to do, but we're having trouble because we can't get the permissions that we need. Obviously, councils move very slowly. And I was like, well, we've got a court. We just haven't got the money. And it just worked perfectly. And so, like, we ended up doing it. And that's like, you know, Clapham is an example of, like, for me, what an outdoor court should look like. You know, like, you know, we just don't have courts with seating. Like, and it's like, if these places are coming together as a community, like, even I love going down to Clapham during the summer. And you've got all the hoopers, obviously, they're all playing, but you've got people that just come down just to sit in the seats and just chill and catch a vibe,
bro.
100%.
It's a community.
100%. And it's like, that's what these spaces need to be. And so, like, you know, Clapham, it's like, that's a legacy. Like that for the next 15, 20 years, like that's going to be the spot. Like, you know, I can't, like now that it's done, the council are going to forever be under pressure to make sure that it's maintained. You know, obviously, you know, Foot Locker and the NBA, there is a budget that we maintain it every year to try and make sure it's up to scratch or whatever. And then obviously we activate every summer, we do events there, but it's like, you know, that's real world tangibly making a difference. And so, you know, off the back of that, we released a 5,000 word guide. That's been downloaded over 200 times. Like up and down the UK, there's people trying to do their own court projects now because of Clapham. That only happened because of Clapham. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like using these things as a catalyst to then impact the game everywhere. It's like throwing a stone and then sort of ripples start coming out or whatever. It's like, that's what Clapham did. It's so much bigger than Clapham. Like, obviously, it's had that effect on Clapham, but it's so much bigger. And obviously now, like, all of the courts that we're doing, it's because of Clapham. That gave us the credibility that we can deliver a project like that.
It's a success story.
Yeah, 100%. And last summer we released our first piece of peer-reviewed research in the International Journal of Basketball Studies about outdoor courts and the importance of them as a hub for the community.
Wow.
We've got a second piece that's going to be coming out this year, which is based on a survey that we put on our social media, which had 1,700 basketball players respond talking about their preferences for an outdoor basketball court. So when we go into these conversations with councils, or when you go into a conversation with a council, you can say, here's the data. And this is what basketball players say. They will play basketball more often if they're on a dedicated basketball space in comparison to a multi-use games area. They want nice backboards, nice rings. They want seating. Like, it makes everyone's lives easier. And that was all because of Clapham. So like Clapham is probably like my proudest thing because I feel like it has much more of an impact on the game. But like, the Bronny game was just an insight into what this could look like. Like why it can't be like this. Like it really opened up my eyes, I think, and sort of increased the vision a little bit of like, there is a culture here. There is a hunger for it. This is the sort of the latent audience that 777 believes there is. That you know, like there is a lot of people involved, interested in the game. There's like all of my friends that I grew up with, they love the NBA. They follow the NBA. They ain't got one iota about British basketball. They don't know. There's loads of people like that. There's loads of people that love the NBA. They love basketball, but don't have an interest in British basketball. And so that's the whole thing of like trying to get that crossover, trying to get that audience to come over. But of course, it's a hard thing to do because if your point of reference is the NBA, then you're going from here to here.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. I've had friends that, you know, like I tried to tell them, oh bro, like let's watch a British basketball league game. They're like, bro, it's so dead compared to the NBA or whatever. And I'm like, just stop comparing it to the NBA. It's the same thing when I've even tried to watch women's basketball games. And I'm like, bro, like this is literally like the NCAA like final, bro. Like, it's really good. Like, let's watch it. They're like, yeah, but it's not the NBA, is it? And I'm like, bro, like if you're always gonna compare it to that, you're never gonna win. The NBA will always be the NBA. It's always gonna be the Mecca. But like, I feel like if you truly love basketball, you can appreciate it for like it being basketball. Like, yeah, okay, cool. You might go watch a crappy scrimmage, and it's like it's a crappy scrimmage, right? But like, you love it because it's hoop. Like this guy's talking shit, and then the guy can't make a shot, but he's still talking, and it's entertaining. It's funny, bro. Like if you're a hooper, like you get it. You know what I mean? Like it's funny. But yeah, you touched really, really briefly there about the All-Star Classic.
Yeah.
What was the reason for starting that, and how important do you think it is moving forward that the All-Star Classic continues?
I mean, the All-Star, like I put together these proposals. I've still got them in Microsoft Word documents. Like I got all these. Like, I had a summer league back then. I had a summer league proposal. I had like a All-Star Classic proposal, which was, you know, the idea was like kind of like a McDonald's All-American game type thing for the UK. Like, I just wanted to showcase British basketball. Like that was the whole thing of like, let's get people to know who these people are. Let's put them on a platform. I think that's one of the attractions to America for so many people. It's like you actually get recognised for what you do. You get appreciated and respected for what you do. It's not just like, oh, he's a basketball player. Do you know what I mean? And so like, yeah, that was the idea, and obviously, you know, managed to. There was a guy working at Nike back then called Nath, who was just like, you know, look, I can't get you money or whatever, but if you do it, like, we can get you kits. That saved me like a lot of money. And then we had Molten, who have been our sponsor since day one, so I will always like ride with Molten. Like they get right of first refusal every single summer. Because they put money in when like put money and product in. You know, for year one we were unproven, got no track record to show. and then because we did it at Brunel, I get an alumni discount on the venue.
Jeez.
So they hooked me up. So that made a big difference.
Big time Sam Neos. Have they given you an honorary degree yet?
Nah.
Hey, yo.
Nah.
University of Brunel, give this man an honorary degree, man. Like, it's about time. Recognize your people, man, honestly.
And then SportServe, who again, like Will Evans, who's the managing director there, like he has just backed us like from day one. Yeah. That year, like he didn't charge us nothing. Yeah.
Wow,
he bought in the floor. We had a rollout floor.
Yeah.
He did it for free. That normally cost 15 grand.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean? So we had the rollout floor, which made it look flipping incredible.
Yeah.
We had the centre circle branded. We had branding going around the side or whatever. And I guess that was the first one. Like that year, the idea was that it was under 16s that first year, under 16s, and originally wanted to be like under 24.
Yeah.
And then like as we were trying to select the rosters, like there was guys that were like a year too old, and it was just like we were struggling with players, and so by the time we'd finished, it become under 26.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was let's get the British guy, and we had Dan Clark, who plays in ACB, coming to play in some shitty gym in West London. Matthew Bryan Manning, Miles Hessen, who's now been GB captain, he won a dunk contest, all these guys that.
Dope.
Still in the early days of their career, but we sold it out. It was only like 300 tickets, but we sold it out. First event management experience, and then kind of like have built on it from there.
You just hit the 10-year anniversary.
This is the 10-year anniversary this year. This is the 10-year anniversary. So
what can we expect from the All-Star Classic?
It's a sticky one. It's a sticky one. Like we're trying to do some different things.
Last year was incredible. Like it was really. From my perspective, bro, like it was so grand.
Yeah,
like it was very grand. That's
last year
describe it.
we had a bigger budget last year than I would guess the previous 8 years combined.
Whoa,
it was a lot bigger last year.
That's what goes into it.
Yeah,
there's a lot of stuff though, bro.
But yeah, that's part of the problem, and it's something that I've always been quite careful of. Is that I don't want to get to a level where, because obviously we're supported by sponsors. We don't have sponsors, it can't run. You can't afford to do it off ticket sales.
Mm-hmm.
If we want to make it affordable, which is what we want to do, obviously tickets are cheap. It's like £10 or whatever.
You want access.
And so, we have reduced sponsorship budgets this year. Every brand is focused on Paris because of the Olympics, and that means that we kind of like we've got to work with what we've got. So
I never thought about how much that would. That's actually a very good point. I never would have thought about how much the Olympics being a major sporting competition.
Oh, it changes everything. Like every single brand's focus is on the Olympics. Every single brand is acting
like the
around
pinnacle
the Olympics.
Of sports.
Of
sports events.
Yeah. Like most sports work on 4-year cycles. Like that's kind of like it's all based around the Olympic cycle. It's like last year we took it to a level where it's hard to replicate because a lot of the stuff we did cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
People got no idea how much it cost to like brand the floor, the 3-point circles, the keys, like the whole thing. It gets expensive quick.
And people often forget the All-Star Classic last year wasn't just a 1-day thing. Like it was a 3-day.
Yeah.
A 3-day thing. You had the coaches conference.
Yeah. We had a build day and then the event. So this year, like. I don't think it will be the levels that it was last year, but we should still be able to do a good job. And then we're looking at, I don't want to say it just in case it doesn't happen, but we're looking to try and do an alumni game. Messages have been sent out this week to players to see who's around, to get a gauge of like what we could do.
Who would you if you were to do your alumni starting 5, who would you put on the starting 5? And remember, they've got to play right now though.
I mean, Jeremy, number 1, Jeremy Sohan.
Okay.
And you've got obviously Tosan.
Yeah.
Quinn Ellis.
Would he be alumni now? He's
alumni. He's played in it. Yeah, he's played in it 2 years. And then you've got like Carl Wheatle.
Tough.
Akwazi Yaboa.
Ooh.
Like, I mean, there's like I put together the list the other day and I was like, we've actually got a pretty decent
decent alumni team.
Yeah, decent squad list. So, But yeah, I don't know whether we can do it because it depends on how many guys are available.
Yeah.
You know, it means doing another event because we won't be able to fit it on Sunday.
Yeah,
We'd then have to do the game on. We'd have to do the alumni game on a Saturday night, and obviously,
Yeah.
bearing in mind we're now 2.5 months out.
Mm.
Like this should have been sorted out ages
Mm.
ago. We've just had a few issues behind the scenes of sorting some stuff out. And then we're trying to do the coaching. Well, we are doing the coaching conference again. Trying to add in a business of basketball conference.
Yeah.
So again, like doing operations, content,
Yeah.
kind of officiating, like all
Yeah.
the stuff around the game to try to up the game,
Yeah.
skill sharing, knowledge sharing,
Yeah.
networking, to add in as part of it. So yeah, 10-year anniversary. Like obviously it's special.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can do it bigger and better than we've done previously. But yeah, time will tell.
It's really interesting that, you know, you're now trying to, it's like, you started being somebody that would put the game on the platform, but now, again, this is why, like, bro, I think you need to take your flowers, bro, because like you're giving free game to so many people. Like, for those of you that don't know, there is a Discord. There is a Discord, and when I discovered this Discord, I was like, what the hell, where have I been? Like, and I try and tell as many people as I can to join it if they're interested in learning more basketball operations, they want to network, do etc. It is a free platform where there is, I don't know how many categories there is, but every single different industry of basketball you could think of is there. And you can join a group and you can essentially be in a chat with loads of like-minded people. People just drop questions in there and you can have discussions. You also very openly and happily share your experience, your failures, how you can improve of all of these events, very transparent, all for people to get for free. If that's not trying to help people grow the game, then I don't know what is.
Yeah.
Like, and now being able to make that come to life in a network and conference, like that could be an opportunity. All these people on the Discord to be like, let's meet, talk to each other.
Yeah.
And those conversations that those people have might be, okay, those two people are going to go collaborate and make a pie together that everyone can eat from. Bro, that's what growing the game is, bro. You are truly raising the game. That's why I'm saying, like, you are a pioneer of this, bro. Like there's no one doing it like how you're doing it, bro.
Yeah.
Like, again, the other thing I want to lead on to and I really want to talk about before we run out of time is the pro-am.
Yeah.
Like, bro, such a lit idea, bro. When you announced that you're doing a pro-am, bro, do you know how exciting that was for so many man? Man, them were like, yeah, this is the ultimate summer league, bro. Like, talk to me. How did that idea come to life? What were your inspirations for it, and what are your hopes for it for the future?
Yeah, I mean, summer league is something I've always wanted to do. There has been summer leagues in London and pro-ams in London, going way back. And I filmed some of them back in the day.
Yeah.
There was one guy run by a guy named Mansour Mbai, and it was called the London Pro-Am. And then following on from that, there was the Pro Classic run by Marcus and Laken, which was, you know, there are so many talented players in London and around London. They can get to London.
Mm-hmm.
They'll want that you can run some seriously high-level games of basketball in the
Yeah.
summer. And so it was like, let's make this happen. Like, we, you know, obviously, as a brand, as Hoopsfix, like, we want to have as many touch points with the best players as possible from a young age all the way up to, you know, being a pro, because ultimately they're the ones that shape the culture. They're the ones that people are looking to, you know. And so that was the way of doing it. Like, you know, we obviously started it in 2022, run it at Cola. I'll have to, like, you know, give a massive thanks to Jackson at Cola for all his help with that. We got a very good rate on the venue, which again is very difficult to do in London, is to get an affordable venue.
With seating.
Yeah, with seating. And obviously we were able to make it happen. It was like, went down really well. And then, yeah, obviously last year we moved it to Brixton. Been working with Lambeth Council, who were very, very supportive of it. And we had our main sponsor that was meant to be funding it pull out about 6 weeks before. Thought we were going to have to cancel it. And then basically put out a plea for help. Had a guy reach out to me who runs Contested App. And I really don't think that, you know, he just did it because he wanted to do it.
Yeah.
Like, and he believed in what we were doing rather than, I really think this is going to help my business. Like, we were blessed, and kind of he funded it, helped us make it happen. And obviously we worked with Stance Socks as well. They put in a small amount of money in product. And yeah, it's now like super important,
Yeah.
super important, but it's still very hard to make work.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
we obviously we charge the teams,
Yeah.
but it's
What do you think is the biggest complication, biggest challenge with running the pro-am?
well making money from it and not losing money on it. Like
Mm.
it's like having the funding to do it. The pro-am costs between 15 and 20 grand.
Yeah.
That's the cost for 5 weeks. You know, and that's also with a lot of volunteers. Like,
Yeah.
you know, we do have some staff that are paid, but we do have a lot of volunteers as well. And yeah, so like having the money to be able to do
Yeah.
it when it doesn't make like we have purposely chosen to be NCAA certified,
Yeah.
which means that we can have Division 1 athletes playing it, which is awesome. You know, the hope was always imagine if like Jeremy when he was at Baylor came back in the summer, or Cam
Exactly.
Hildreth comes back. Like for the
Yeah.
culture, that'd be so huge.
Bruh. It'll be like when LeBron plays in the Drew League.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, oh my god.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
yeah.
And so, but that obviously meant that we are not allowed to make money from the event in traditional ways.
Yeah.
We can't ticket it,
Yeah.
can't monetize the streams.
Yeah.
And so obviously all the tickets are free. We don't charge entrance. And the only revenue stream we have at a pro-am is the team entries.
Yeah.
So the men's team pay. It's like last year it was £250 a team, which you know when you talk about you've got 10 players.
Yeah, bro.
And you got 5 weeks of
£25
basketball with
each.
free refs, live streamed photography. Like
Paying
it's,
£5 a week.
it's next
bro,
to nothing.
per person.
Yeah, and then the girls work slightly different because we don't have people that really want to run the teams. So the
Yeah.
girls register individually, and then we kind of
Yeah.
manage the teams ourselves, which is a bunch of admin. But yeah, like hopefully you know we can build on it. I've got to find 15 grand for this summer to make it happen, but the plan is to make it happen. And yeah, hopefully we can keep on building it. But yeah, the idea is to be the Drew League of the UK. Obviously, a
man.
much more scaled down version of it.
Yeah.
But that's the
Nah,
vision.
bro, sky's the limit, bro. Do you not remember that final, man? People literally, there was no sitting room, bro. People were standing on the side, bro. And wasn't that, like, bro, when I'm looking at that, I think I was doing the comms for the live stream for that last game, and I was looking around and I was like, bro, the culture is here. The culture is here. Like, everyone was there. When you say everyone, bro, seeing Dan Clark flipping XGB, hasn't been there for the whole 5 weeks, pulls up to the final with his big 7-foot self just standing on the side. You've got like flipping Martin, Diane, all that, like Diane, all these people like players, like you got players playing in it that you're like, what the hell? You got like NBA, all these different types of teams, and like, bro, it's nuts, man.
Yeah.
It's nuts, bro. You're doing crazy things for the game, bro.
Appreciate it.
You're actually making like things that people are gonna talk about. The same way, you know, you were inspired by Midnight Madness.
Yeah.
All these things, like you are now doing what the people that inspired you are doing.
For sure.
And just
But the key thing though is it can't die. It can't
It
die.
needs to keep going.
And that's the thing of all this, like, you know, Midnight Man has had a good 10-year run or whatever, probably a bit longer than that. Rough and Ready, same thing, like had a 6-7 year run. Like, it's like, you know, when you go to the States, you got tournaments like the City of Palms or whatever. They've been running 50 years.
Yeah.
It's like the Drew League's been running 50 years. Like, it's like, I want this shit to run for 50 years, until I die.
Yeah.
But how can I do that? It's like, how can you make this a business? How can you make this actually a revenue-making, profit-making, paying people to do for their services rather than relying on their goodwill? And that's the trick. That's the thing that I've got to work out, because it's tough. It's tough.
So the question I always ask the guests is, how can the British basketball community, the culture, support you, Hoopsfix? The people, tell them how they can support you, so then you can continue supporting the culture.
Yeah, I mean, like, we're working on a few things. Like, one of those is merchandise, as you can see by the hoodie that I'm wearing at the moment.
Yeah, shameless punches. Show them. There you go.
This is high grade. You know, we've spent a lot of time and money working with factories in Portugal. We've got a new line coming, which I'm hoping is going to do well. But if that does do well, then it will solve a lot of problems. But there are, you know, massive costs in running it. Like, and I'm already, you know, tens of thousands of down just in buying stock and the product development and all that kind of stuff.
Go get the merch, man.
So yeah, get the merch. And the idea with the merch is we're going to donate 10% of all the profits to the foundation. So it's like, if you buy the merch, you will be helping us run our summer programs, helping us renovate courts. Like it's like really like ownership of the game and growing the game and putting our own hands and taking control of it. So yeah, obviously that's a huge thing. And then it's just continuing to support and do what we do, like buying tickets. And it's not just me; it's everyone. It's like, go and watch your local club and buy tickets to go and watch the game. When they're selling merchandise, buy the merch. Like all that money goes back into helping the club grow. We need everyone to win. We need to all build the pie.
Help build the economy, right?
Yeah, 100%. And so it's that's what it is. It's like what will help me is everyone taking it upon themselves to help the game. Like how can we grow the game? How can we change the game? How can you, with your skill set, with your knowledge, with your network, like how can you do your bit to help change it? I'm all ears. Like, I will do what I can to help anyone that's trying to help it. I'm happy to jump on a call, happy to give advice, happy to connect people. Because I want us all to win. I want the game to win. I really want to grow the game here and change the game here.
Yeah, which I think you're doing, man, amazingly, man. There's more questions we have. I'm gonna rinse out this studio time, by the way, and I have no problem. I have no problem saying that on the mic. Again, man. Seriously, go and support all these things, man, because we ain't making no money from this. No one's really making any money from this, and we want to be able to be at a place to make money from it. And that's one thing this pod is trying to do, tell people stories, and you can go and learn more. Like, oh, okay, maybe I should go and support, because we have a mentality of not paying for shit.
Yeah.
And that doesn't help the economy.
Of course.
At all.
But it is a double-edged sword, yeah? Don't go and buy shit that you don't think is good.
Yeah.
Like,
true,
it's like,
true.
There should be, like, I have these conversations with my friends all the time where they're just like, if I run a business, my friends should back it. And I'm like, I think they should support you. But if you're not their target audience and they don't want what you're selling, or they don't think what you're selling is good, they shouldn't, because then they're giving you a false idea of how good your business is. It's like, if you believe, like, if you would go to the game, then you should pay for a ticket, because there's obviously value there because you want to go to the game. Like, don't go to the game at some charity case. I should go to the game because I should go to the game. It's like, if there is actually a value exchange happening, that costs money, and you should be buying tickets, paying for it, whatever it might be. But yeah, like, we as business owners, as basketball providers, as club owners, it's like we've got to ask, what is the value we're providing? How much is that worth? How much is the customer willing to pay? And we should be adjusting that, testing that, trying to make that work so that people do want to pay it. Like, it should be a no-brainer. They're like, what? This is only this much for this. This is incredible. I can't believe this costs this little. Do you know what I mean?
Facts.
And that's the value offer's got to be there. So, yeah, it's a two-way street. It's like, of course, people got to support the game, but we as basketball providers, whatever it is, whether it's content, events, whatever, it's like we got to make sure our product is good, that people want to pay for it.
What's your thoughts on like the level and standard of the amount of media going into British basketball right now? And I'm asking that because, again, for example, at Pro-Am, bro, both baselines filled every week. Like, there's so many more people doing what you done it, whatever.
Yeah.
Back in the time when you were filming for Midnight Madness, doing the exact same thing for you. What's your thoughts on that? Do you look at that as inspiring? Like,
oh, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Like, it's awesome. Like, it's like, it's so good for the game.
Yeah.
Like, I love seeing the content that people are producing around it, people that are trying new things, different types of content that we're seeing, new ideas, new creative concepts. Like, I think it's great. Like, it can only help the game.
Yeah.
That said, like, we almost have like very good content, but actually the level of basketball is really not great, right? And there's a level of like spotlighting, platforming players that actually really are not that great, that really are not like, and I say all that in context. It's like, if you're doing this in the States, you're talking about future NBA players or whatever. Like,
right.
Here we're talking about guys that might not ever play at any, girls that might not ever play at any type of level. It's like, all of our lives as content creators would be easier if the level of the game was better. It's hard to find players that, especially if you're talking about mixtapes back in the day, where it was much more mixtape focused and highlight focused. Like Ryan Richards, Devin Van Oostrum. Like, these guys were like made for mixtapes. Do you know what I mean? Like, and they were obviously very high level players. It's like we need the level of basketball to be better, so that we're not like platforming or exposing or sort of like creating a level of entitlement around the game for players that really like.
Yeah.
haven't put in the work to get that platform yet. Do you know what I mean?
It used to be, Ryan has said this, like, it used to be an honor to have a mixtape.
Yeah.
Like, it's almost like you've lost the honor to have a mixtape.
Yeah.
It's like anyone can get a mixtape.
Yeah, for sure. Like I could go to a scrimmage, and I could just call someone up and be like, "Oh, do you want to come down and they could do a mixtape for me?" It's like, what world of why should I get a mixtape? Do you know what I mean? Like, there is that there, and they're like the whole.
But obviously, that doesn't take away from those people wanting to.
Like, no. Of course not. I just say all that to say it's like I want the game to get better, so that we've got better basketball to spotlight. For sure. But now it's awesome. Like the content creation around the game is like it's flipping awesome. Like we need more of it. Like I love it.
Yeah. How long do you think it is before we have even more, like the Joe Pinchin story becomes more of a normal thing?
I mean, I think that could happen, is going to happen.
Yeah.
We've got a bunch of very, very talented people like here that also want to earn a living from basketball.
Mm-hmm.
And the reality is, like, there ain't that many well-paid content creator jobs for basketball in the UK.
Facts.
And that's, the same way that, a lot of our top talented players leave. Is the same with all of our workforce as well. Like we have got people, in high levels in different places around the world, in basketball. Because that's where, you love basketball, you can earn a living. I ended up in Switzerland for a period of time or whatever because I could earn a living there, doing it or whatever. Like, of course, it's, so that's why the economy needs to grow, because then everyone can stay at home. In an ideal world, we'll all be able to stay here and earn good money doing what we do. But yeah, that's why we all need it to grow. But like, it takes people, like, in some ways, what I don't want to happen to me is I'm the sacrificial lamb. Yeah, that it's like
the sacrificial goats.
Like I don't want to have to sacrifice myself and my life, my career, to never really earn what I want to earn because I'm so intent on making this happen. But then the next generation, obviously, of course, I want the next generation to be able to come through and earn a living, but also I want to be able to earn a living and keep doing what I'm doing. But yeah, the only way that changes is like there have got to be other people that are willing to hang around. It's like the only way the game is going to get better is the talented people, the people that love it and want to be around it, want to stay and be invested in it. So I don't know. I mean, players and people will continue to leave as long as there is good, better career opportunities overseas.
Okay, this is the very last thing we're going to speak about. I feel like we're going to have to do a part 2, 3 at some point again, but just to catch up on a lot of these things that you also said. Obviously, you want to grow the game. That's your purpose, that's your passion. But like within Hoopsfix, what is the end goal? We talked about possibly making a purpose-built facility.
Yeah.
What does that look like? Tell us what that vision is and how it will benefit the game.
Yeah, like I don't know if there's an end game with Hoopsfix, because it's like it's never gonna end. Like just the goalposts continue to move. It's like once you've done one thing, you try and do the next thing, right? So it's always about how can we positively impact the game and grow the game, change the game. But yeah, the facility is a massive part of it. Like I want there to be more purpose-built basketball facilities, one, but two, like spaces for the community to come together. Like, anytime there's a big thing, Selection Sunday yesterday, or the All-Star game, or March Madness, or the NBA Finals, or whatever it might be, like having a space that people can come together around those moments, I just think is so powerful. Being able to enjoy and experience it together. So like having, like, the idea with the facility is that it's of course it's a basketball facility, but it's a hub for the community. It's a hangout. You can come there, not even play basketball, and just chill. And there's no pressure to leave. You can just hang out. And we have bar, cafe area, podcast, content creation studios, medical treatment room, strength and conditioning area, sort of gym area, changing room, showers, and just hangout space, co-working space. You can just come work, whatever. Like, we should be able to record this there, like all of that stuff. That's a sort of vision. That is clearly going to cost a lot of money. We are exploring a space at the moment, which, if we are successful, we would need to raise somewhere between £2 and £3 million to then fit it out. you know, bringing in wooden floors, bringing in hoops, like all of that stuff, building out the spaces. It would be very expensive, and obviously then we need to have a path to profitability to be able to make it work. Which again, you know, when we live in a culture, British basketball, where people don't want to pay for things, it's challenging because we're going directly to the consumer and saying, we need you to pay X amount a month to be able to have access to this space, basically. But if we can do that, that for me becomes the model, the business model of everything. It funds everything. And if it works, which I believe it will, you then look to scale it. And you're like, well, why can't we have one of these why can't you have 10 of these in London? And then build one in Birmingham and in Manchester and Bristol and Newcastle and sort of build it out. But like it's different in the sense of like I don't want it to be a club-based model with an anchor tenant or anything like that. It's a basketball hub that all clubs can use if they want to book it out for certain things. But really, it's based around individual memberships that want to top up their game, that want to work on their game, and then a hub for the community.
And then you run events out of it.
Yeah, and then run events out of it as well. Yeah, exactly. We can run our own events out of there. That means our own events should be a lot more profitable than they currently are because, you know, half of our costs aren't going on the venue hire. But yeah, like that's obviously a huge thing. And then like it's building out a team. Like I want a staff of full-time employees that were all on this mission to grow it. And like, you know, I'm one guy that has help from a lot of guys. Obviously, Bradley, you, Tahir, like a bunch of people come and help, especially in the summer. Tope, exactly. Tope. Big Tope, who's literally, we're using his garage right now to pack full of all the event stuff in the summer after I got kicked out of my building. You know, I want to be able to offer jobs to people, and then we all work on the stuff we love and we grow it. Like I know that we can make it work. But yeah, it's building that actual business model that makes money, and also that, you know, for me personally, that I can earn a wage that I'm not stressing about money, and it's like I'm good. Like I want to be a millionaire. Like you know, like that's, you know. Sometimes I think, oh, you don't want to be money driven, but it's like I am money driven because I've not had any for so long. It's like, do you know what I mean? It's like I want to be a millionaire. I want to show that in British basketball you can be a millionaire. Like you can make it work. Like how many business owners within British basketball you look at and say they've made it? Like they've come and they're not playing. They've built a business within basketball and they're making it work. Like I want to be that guy. Obviously, I have a long way to go. I'm 15 years in, not even close right now. But like, there's no reason why it can't happen. Like the pieces are all there. Like there's a hunger and appetite for the sport. I feel like I'm learning every day, connecting with people every day, building my knowledge base to be able to continue sort of moving up the ladder. And hopefully, you know, at some point in the future, we're going to get there. Yeah, at Hoopsfix on every single social media platform. HOOPSFIX. Do not forget the S. And then we're there. And obviously, if you want to see more about what the foundation does, hoopsfixfoundation.org. Obviously, the main news site is hoopsfix.com.
Yeah, make sure you check out Cut the Net as well if you're looking for basketball operations providers in the UK. Yep,
ctn.agency. Need services. We do that as well. That's what actually brings in the money. So, yeah.
You like, share, subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow us on TikTok, on Instagram. This podcast is also now going to be available on Apple Music, as well as anywhere else you get your podcasts, just for you guys. Remember, make sure you stay for the culture. And we appreciate you guys watching, man. Continue supporting. Much love. Stay blessed. Get buckets. Okay, a little bit of bonus content for you guys. So for the culture, I'm surprised you didn't ask me this. Where did the name come from, Stan? But you ain't got to prompt it. Too humble. But I will happily say I may or may not have stolen this name. But he didn't pay for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so obviously for the culture is something that you say.
Yeah.
You probably said it first. It's probably where it came to mind as well. But like what do you think it means?
It's for the culture, isn't it? Yeah. Like that when we were working on Clapham and it was going to be looking like what it was going through, I remember saying to Bradley, when this is done and we post it on social with a drone shot or whatever, the caption is going to be for the culture. And then the same thing when we beat Sierra Canyon, the caption of the scorecard was for the culture.
Yeah.
And it's just like, that's what it is, isn't it? That's why, like, it's good that I want more people to take on that moniker. It's a great name. Like, it's like, we want to be for the culture. It's about doing it for the community, doing it for the right reasons. growing the game, and that's what I think it symbolises. So yeah, great name.
Yeah, and it's actually fun. More and more people actually use it, bro. Like,
Yeah.
I saw B-Dab did a video of it, and it's for the culture. Like, I've seen people use it in their captions. People put it in the comments. Like, it's a thing now, bro.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think it truly means something to be for the culture. Like, truly embody it, and
It's about being a part of something bigger than yourself, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's like
exactly.
we're all in this together. We know the struggle, and we're doing it because we love it.
Yeah.
We're all in it for the same reasons. We're all trying to grow the game. We're all trying to make a difference. We're all trying to make it better, and that's for the culture is the embodiment of that. So the more people that use it, the better. It means the more of us are doing this stuff.
Facts. A funny thing that most people don't know, on the logo for the thing, this picture was actually taken at the first prime.
Yeah.
Shout out to K. Lou for doing the little cartoon thing with it. But it's
got a Hoopsfix logo on the
original
polo.
thing, bro.
Yeah. No, I love that.
Man. You always be a part of my journey specifically.
Yeah.
No, that's not something we touched on. Maybe we can do it in another episode. But yeah, man, Hoopsfix is, like I told you at the beginning, it's important to me and my experience of what the culture is, bro. So I want to say thank you for that. Being able to provide all of these opportunities as well, because you're a huge part of my MC journey, my journey in British basketball.
Yeah.
So, man, a big thank you to you, man. The true inspiration, like I said.
No, very welcome. And you know what? I will say that also, you and many other people were part of my journey as well. I still have that message saved that you sent me after the summer of 2022, after we finished the NBA 3X, and you sent me a message just being like,
What did I say?
genuine. Oh, it's a whole essay, but it was basically just
It sounds like me.
it was basically just saying thank you, to be a part of this, really you inspire me and stuff, and the reality is that's what keeps me going. It's all the people that say thank you and are appreciative of what I'm doing, and I do get a lot of those messages, and obviously it feels amazing every time that I'm able to have an impact on other people's journeys, like people did for me when I was coming up. And that's what it's all about. So yeah, as much as I'm part of your journey, you're part of my journey, and you and every other young person coming through is what keeps me going and keeps making me want to keep pushing, keeps me on my toes as well, because it's I want to make sure that I'm still trying to be the top dog. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, no, it goes both ways.
Cheers, bro. I'm gonna stop doing this. I can tell you don't like this soft stuff, bro. you don't like this soft stuff, bro. It's all good. I appreciate it. Thank you very much, Sam. That means a lot as well, bro.
My name is Sam Nita from Hoopsfix, and you are watching For the Culture.